Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Wednesday morning? A big day in the week is always Wednesday, John, when we turn the page and start to prep for that Week 4 matchup, Eagles-Bucs. How you doing, John?
Yeah, Eagles-Bucs going down a day early. Vic kind of blew that up, which I expected him to.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny, but that's your funny moment from Vic Fangio. And let me state off. Don't talk about CJ coming back, please. No, come on, guys.
Well, we're gonna have to mention it. I know. I think you can just rightfully put it to bed, John, because I didn't think it was ever an option. But people speculated. John, we had a poll on the JAKIB channel, all right, about CJ, and I know you don't want to entertain it, but sometimes the people want to talk.
Well, they can talk about it.
60% want to run it back with CJ.
At some point of that 60%, I'll talk directly to them. Does anything click with you that maybe there are reasons that maybe you don't know about?
Yeah, right.
Anything click at all? So, and by the way, Drew McCuba is playing just fine. So, I mean,
that to me is the biggest thing there. I like what McCuba's done. I don't want to cripple his growth.
Yeah, you want to put him on the bench?
Yeah,
and then I've heard the people
and
all the moving parts. Well, play him in the slot, move Cooper outside, yada yada. You think Vic Fangio wants to play that guy in the slot, a disciplined, fundamental position? You got to be kidding me. I mean, just think it out. Just flesh it out. That's 60%.
Something obviously happened though in Houston. I mean,
you think?
Well, they converted $6.5 million of his salary to a signing bonus like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so I'm not even getting to that. Yeah, obviously something happened.
Are you privy to the information of what happened in Houston?
Well, there's one reporter that covers the team that put up a couple clips of him freelancing, so I'm sure he's getting fed that by Houston. So I think that's a big part of it. I know he was asked for a trade, wanted to blitz more, according to Aaron Wilson. He's and remember who the Houston Texans head coach is, by the way.
Yeah,
D'Amico Ryans, who's one of the most professional players you're ever going to come across when he was here. And as you pointed out, they gave him that money, and how bad does it have to be to do that and then say, you know what, we're out?
Yeah, right. That's why I was wondering if there was something bigger than just him complaining about his role.
Well, he has to be traded, I don't know how many times you say you try to be as kind as possible. He's
a pain in the ass. That's what he is. He's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, he's a handful. And and he's a good player. I've never said he wasn't a good player.
Well, that's where I think I go. Because it's like, all right, he's a jerk or he's a handful or whatever.
But can he help our football team? But even that is it. Well, I think in state, I'd rather have Drew McCuba now. I mean, to me, it worked out. It's very early in his career. I'm not going to say he's going to lead the NFL in interceptions, but I'm comfortable with Drew McCuba moving forward, and I'm certainly not going to stunt his growth. And by the way, if you're bringing him back, then another part, you're taking advantage of the situation. You're paying him less. How happy do you think he's going to be about that?
Yeah, well, not happy.
Maybe a couple weeks.
Well, what's the alternative for him at this point?
Well, his agents should have been talking to him about that in the off season. It's like, dude, you're gonna talk yourself out of this league if you don't at least tone it down a bit. And, Kevin Connor, thinking of the old Sixers executive, Robert Brown or his agents. I'm sure they've imparted this to him. He's got to figure it out because he's good, but he's not good enough to overcome what he's creating in basically every situation he's been in.
Yeah, I mean, what is this now? 5 teams for him?
Yeah, New Orleans didn't want him. Why? Philadelphia first go to the Super Bowl and everybody, great player, leads the league in interceptions despite missing 5 games, and they didn't want to bring him. They said, well, he's asking for too much money. He didn't get too much money. Detroit, now he got hurt there, but when he came back, they had moved on essentially. Wasn't happy about that. Comes back to Philly. Everything's copacetic. They win the Super Bowl. And all of a sudden he's gone. And now he lasts three games in Houston. At some point, the lights got to click for that 60%.
Yeah. Too big of a liability. Probably not going to go that route, obviously. So good stuff. We'll move on, Johnny Mac. Honestly, I forgot about it when I woke up this morning, and you brought it.
And by the way, there's this weird rule. I don't even know if the Eagles could get him back if they wanted him. I'm trying to
saw
get
that. I do think somebody debunked it that we could get him back.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I asked the NFL and they don't even seem to know. Yeah. Now, I don't think it's again the over legislation of this league is ridiculous. And in theory, my thought is that since he was cut, you might have to wait a couple of weeks, similar to an injury settlement, that eventually they could bring him back if they wanted to bring him back. But the only reason I tried to clarify that is because, I didn't know. I don't think they're trying to bring him back. So I want to make that clear. But, so I didn't even know if it's a possibility. And hopefully he gets back to me today. But,
did you do any poking around the Eagles organization? They're probably as out on it as you think, right?
Yeah, they're now injuries is the only thing that can, if you're talking about 3-4 weeks down the road, he still doesn't have a job and they might try to run it back. And that, so you never close the door completely.
Right.
But yeah, that's not, the funny thing is they've been phenomenal in red zone defense early in the season. And the defense as a whole has been, I think, much better than most people. Certainly I expected to be this early in the season. Like I have no idea why anybody's worried about safety and Drew McCuba at this point.
Yeah, that's why I said yesterday, I'm like, to be honest with everybody, 3 games deep. I know it's not a big sample size, but I haven't come out of one game yet. Like, we better go get a safety. We better address the safety position. Like, it hasn't been perfect, but I think it's been pretty good. And you see the upside potential with Andrew McCuba. So I don't really think it's necessary outside of an injury or depth, but I don't know. I'll tell you what, how about this point? If you're Reed Blankenship's agent, and not that he has any.
Yeah, Reed's not playing well.
That's what I mean. A lot better with CJ Gardner-Johnson next to him than he did with the rookie.
Yeah, I mean, it's still small samples. I mean, you can point to Saquon Barkley's not playing well.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think anybody's worried about that. And I'm not trying to compare the two as players, but it's a very small sample size.
Yeah, I get the point. Yeah,
I think it'll even itself out. But he hasn't played well, to be fair. But a lot of that is just giving up. Again, you're matched up with Devontae Adams as a safety. And he probably pushed off as well, and everybody's just shitting on Reed. I mean, that's Jonathan Gannon would say. Sometimes you get caught. That's tough duty. That's tough duty for any safety in the NFL.
No, it is. Yeah.
And when you add in the savviness of Devontae Adams, I think people overreact to that kind of stuff.
So Gardner-Johnson done. That he's not coming to Philly. You're telling everybody get off the high horse. Whatever.
Again.
No,
I hate to say never. You never say never. 99% leave the door open. If Drew McCuba has a season-ending injury, they might say, well, let's try it. Maybe you can stay on the rails for the rest of the season because he just went through this again, and then we'll move on from him after next season. So that's the only option I see, injury related.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't think anybody should be hoping for that.
No, definitely not hoping for that. We'll see what ends up happening with Gardner-Johnson. It was kind of a surprise. He was released yesterday because of that $6.5 million. They basically a move that you would think they would have him in their plans, and then boom, three weeks of football done. Now they start 0-3. You know, I don't know. I did see one way to put it. It's like Super Bowl champion safety CJ Gardner-Johnson is mad at the team or is holding the team accountable, sitting at 0-3 team fires Super Bowl champion safety for holding team accountable. I'm like, not a bad way to look at it. The Texans suck.
And I don't think that's what happened.
I don't think that's it.
But it's not, it's not. I mean, obviously, their problem is the offensive line, and that's their own fault because they turned that whole thing over and they made a bunch of mistakes doing it. And it wasn't good to begin with. We talked a lot about Laramie Tunsil, and it's like, all right, he's getting older. You don't want to pay him. I get it. It'd be nice to have him for CJ Stroud. And then a bunch of other guys who were just terrible elsewhere. And they, for some reason, thought they were going to coach him up. I don't know. That was a terrible plan, but and I'm sure he wasn't happy getting used to what he had here in Philadelphia. You heard him popping off that he was going to make them a Super Bowl team, like in the off season, like a safety could have that kind of impact if you don't have an offensive line and defensive front. But the minute you start freelance, and that was the reputation here. He would freelance too much.
Yeah, right.
And that's one thing under Jonathan Gannon, who now is a head coach, so would have that kind of cachet, but didn't have it back then. With Vic, that ain't gonna fly, man.
We'll say, Johnny Mac, let's move on here. We got Mike Gill coming up in a little bit. We'll have Brandon Lee Gouton in hour number 2. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here on a Wednesday edition of Birds 365. Hit that like button for us, guys. Trying to get up to 200 likes here on the show today. Got a good crowd in here, so appreciate all of you guys for being here. We'll get to all super chats today as well. John, you mentioned coordinator day was yesterday. Vic Fangio, Kevin Patullo. Some people upset listening to Kevin Patullo saying we were aggressive in the first half. I don't know if you were, Kevin. But what were your thoughts yesterday on just the three coordinators? Michael Clay spoke too on the knuckleball.
Yeah, a lot of big special teams day with all the nuttiness, the field goal blocks, and then you had the joy of the field goal blocks and the misery of the kickoff. So you had both sides of it, Michael Clay. But obviously Vic is always the headliner. I knew it was coming. I knew he couldn't control himself when he was talking about going down to Tampa early. It's like, what, you can't acclimate one day to the heat. It's so absurd. So I'm glad he did. I'm glad he said, I'm trying to pull it up because it was phenomenal. But anyway, as I try to do that, he can't help himself. And I appreciate that because it's honest. What they're trying to do is they haven't had success down there. And this is a rare time I don't agree with the Eagles because I do think they run, they do things the right way 90% of the time. So I do give them a lot of credit. But, I think by doing this, you highlight there's very few issues they've had in this era. There's one team in the Nick Sirianni era that they have played more than twice. So they're 0-1 against a couple teams. Las Vegas, I think the Chargers. And there's only one team that they played more than twice that they have a losing record against, and that's Tampa Bay. And obviously they've had some significant problems down there. And I think you highlight it by shifting up from your usual way of doing things. So that's why I don't agree with it. But, to his specific statement, he's asked, obviously it's going to be hot down in Tampa. You guys are leaving early to adjust to it. How might the heat might impact the rotations, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, it's too late to do anything right now as far as prepping for it. You don't practice in heat one day and say you're acclimated, or take a pill and say you're acclimated. The key will be it's a mindset, number one, which you said back in training camp during hot days. Number two, we need to not let them have 8, 10, 12 long drives, basically. If you're on the field, you're going to get tired in that heat. But so very key to get off the field as quickly as possible. But I just love the fact that he slammed that door shut, because it's so, think about that. Yeah, they're here till Friday. They're doing so instead of leaving after walkthrough on Saturday, which is what they typically do they're leaving after practice on Friday evening, and they're going to have their walkthrough in Tampa, and you're going to get acclimated to the Tampa heat with that extra day. I always go back, and I think I told this story earlier this week when we were down in Miami for joint practices. It was brutal. Like Tampa heat times 10 in South Florida, Miami, 95 degrees, 100% humidity. It was brutal. And the Dolphins have this beautiful new facility. And as you're getting, for anybody who hasn't been to an NFL practice, you start it with stretching and then you do some individual drills. The Dolphins did all that in the air conditioning and inside, as the Eagles wilted in the heat outside. And they just, as Elliot would say, they just lost the practice pretty significantly. Not that it matters, but
no, but yeah,
Miami.
To your point, yeah, getting acclimated to the heat doesn't really do much.
So Miami, who needs to get acclimated to the heat, they stayed out of the heat as long as humanly possible, because that's what makes sense. But anyway, so
here's Ryan lives in Florida. He says, I live in Florida. You ain't getting used to this humidity in 2 days.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
And like I said, Miami, who has to get used to it, they stayed inside.
Yeah, right. What were your thoughts yesterday on Kevin Patullo's comments, John? I mean, he spoke a little bit about the Hurst sideline encounter. He spoke about, just a bunch of different things, the aggressiveness of the offense, or lack thereof.
I mean, I said it. We did a whole show on it yesterday. I mean, look, and I know I'm not going to win this argument. People judge results. That's all they're judging. They're not judging aggression. They're not judging conservatism. Whatever they think
have been conservative.
Play calling. They're a conservative team by general, by the conventional wisdom of conservative, which is run first. They're a run first team. So everybody that's a run first team, and there's very few of them, is conservative by nature. So if that's the definition, yes, they're conservative. They throw it less than the majority of other teams. And then the circumstance of the game, because they were down 19, people think that's the answer. If you're doing that from the start, as you did it in Green Bay and some other games early last season, maybe it isn't the answer. And then you're saying, why isn't Saquon involved? It's a very tough job, but that's part of it. Kevin's a big boy. He can handle it. But, predictable that nobody liked it. Because the Eagles don't look at it that way.
Yeah, but they were conservative. You admitted that to us here on Birds 365. They were conservative.
In my view, they're too conservative. In their view, they're not. So I know they're not going to admit they're conservative.
In their view, they're not. In Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown's view, they are. Well, I'm excited with those two guys this time. I know.
But you weren't last year. They said the same thing.
I agree. But the only reason they ended up doing that last year is because players went to Nick and said, this isn't the way. Now we're in year 2020. It's a different year. And now in a similar fashion, but for the opposite side, you have players saying the same thing. Nick, this isn't what we should be doing this year. It's a new year. You know,
Well, you have players.
But hear me out. We keep bringing up 19 to 20. 17 of the 20 games in that were 2024 when you had Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and a different football team. You have a different team this year. I can't just say that record over and over again as the reason for why you would play a certain way.
I think that would hold more water if they actually lost a game this year. So maybe when they lose a game, maybe they revisit.
But they're on the margins. I mean, they're close. They
were on the margins a bunch last year. Nobody cared because of the end result. They were on the margins a bunch last year.
They also had Saquon running wild. So, you know, it was a little bit.
But they were still on the margins. Again, you had those games where they were on the margins and with shitty passing attacks and Baltimore and Carolina and yada, yada, yada. And even in the playoffs against Green Bay, they needed the 3 turnovers. Against the Rams, they needed the 2 Jalen Carter rushes. They were on the margins, but the end result is acceptable. You know, it's hard to win this way, which I've said from day one. You're lowering your margin of error by playing the way they play. I haven't deterred from that.
Yeah, you're right. But when you also have a back that's going to set history, you know, that's going to improve that margin.
Well, you don't know.
I'm not on that pace.
Well, so in the shitty game, so the mindset is Saquon had a shitty game. He's averaging 3.3 yards a carry. He's had a shitty run, whatever you want to call it. You want to pull the plug on the historic running back that quickly?
I'm just factoring in that the probably natural evolution that teams watched you do what you did last year all the way to a Super Bowl.
Well,
and now in the new season, there's going to be a different approach and a different plan for the way they play the Eagles.
What do you think? What do you think that approach and plan was going to be?
Well, I don't know. I think that's going to vary depending on the team and depending on the personnel that they have.
Because I think there's been a theme in the first 3 games, and the theme isn't what people think it is. The theme is to stop Jalen Hurts.
Via blitz and all those things. You gave a crazy stat yesterday about 90-something dropbacks and 40-something blitzes or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's 48%.
Yeah,
48% of dropbacks, they're getting blitzed. So to me, I don't even think most people realize what teams are trying to do. And they think they're trying to take away Saquon because of the numbers. They're really trying to pin Jalen in the pocket. And try to limit the off-schedule stuff as much as possible. That's been the theme to me of the first 3 weeks defensively of their opponents. And for the most part, except for Dallas early, it's been successful. But he still is able to make these plays and these gas plays. And week 3 was a little bit different because they fell behind by so much. So to me, that's all circumstance. But it's frustrating. Look, now we're talking about 19 of 20 games. We're talking about into 2 seasons, bleeding over 2 seasons. They had a bottom 5 passing offense last year. They have a bottom 5 passing offense this year. Now, from just that general standpoint, that seems absurd. I get it, but it was the same last year.
Yeah. Well, when Jalen did have that big game, you know, he mentioned that straitjacket comment. Now, yesterday he says that's what we were in the second half. That's what he says to Pam. That's who we are. We got to stop playing not to lose. So
maybe you should talk to Nick like he should talk to Pam.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I assume he does. Let's go to Mike Gill. We got Mike Gill in the green room right now. He's going to join us here on Birds 365. The great Mike Gill from 97.3 ESPN down the shore. You can follow him at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe to his YouTube channel at Mike Gill Show. Listen to him at 97.3 ESPN and 97.5 The Fanatic on the weekends. Mike, welcome to the program, brother. How you doing this Wednesday morning?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad to see everybody's pumped up about this 3-0 team.
It is funny.
What do you make of it, Mike? I mean, you know, the 2 star offensive players after the game are like, "Hey, I think we gotta let our killers kill a little bit more." You know, do you agree with them, or do you think they should not listen to the players? And maybe there is some truth to that. They are 19-1 in their last 20. How do you see it after that game?
Yeah, they're walking kind of a tightrope here of having success by doing it away, and then having the players noticing hey, teams are adjusting to what what we've done well, so then we need to possibly tinker things as well. The formula isn't always going to work. This has been their formula over the success here, but teams are starting to adapt a little bit. They're playing you differently. And one of the things that got them into this mode, if you remember, at the start of last year when they went 2-2, they turned the ball over consistently. Jalen kept turning the ball over. We would have conversation every week. It was almost a fait accompli that he was going to turn the ball over. So they tried to get him out of that, and it turned into what went on to this run that they're on. Well, now teams are adjusting to that, and the Eagles have to do it as well. I think we saw in the second half, them basically probably, I would imagine, say, hey, coach, we need to kind of open it up a little bit more. This is what they're doing. It's not easy to just step into a job of being a play caller and think 3 games into it, voila, you're going to be masterful at it. Look what happened in Detroit. I mean, their first game, people were talking about their offense, how all of a sudden they were the worst offense in football because they lost Ben Johnson. And then they scored 50 the next week. And then last week, they didn't look so bad. I mean, You've got to kind of have to work your way into this role, get the rhythm, get the feel, each game has its own, rhythm and feel to it as well. So like just walking in as being a masterful play caller, it's going to take, I remember the Brian Johnson year. That guy got fired, and we would say, that's a top 10 offense in the league, and it looked like shit. Yeah. So it's I would imagine
at times.
Yeah, at times.
Every offense, even Detroit's offense, looks like shit at times, believe it or not.
I would imagine that, this is going to be it's a fluid situation. And every week is different. We know that. It's a week-to-week league. It's like we want them to come out and score 38 points every single week because, and this is the interesting part about the conversation, right? We want them to score 38 points every single week because they have the personnel to do it. Like they could roll out of bed with that offense and score 38 points a week. We in our minds believe that, and they probably could. And that's what frustrates us. And look, we're always looking for something to bitch and moan about. But as John said, when you win in the NFL, it is hard, man. It is not an easy thing to do. And they did not play their best football for 3 weeks in a row and beat, 2 pretty quality opponents, we think, and then the Cowboys.
Yeah, by the way, I think, and I'm not, because you're just pulling the number out of the air, 38 points a game. Like, yeah. I don't, the highest scoring offense in NFL history did not reach 38 points per game. Like, I think the mentality of what people envision, it's like the highest scoring offense, it's awesome that you picked that number, of all time, was the Broncos, the Peyton Manning Broncos, that scored 606 points, which averaged 37.9 points per game. So that's the best it's ever been. So that was a phenomenal number you pulled. But if people expect that, Mike,
38 was the number that the Lions scored the other night, I guess, was in my head.
Yeah,
they scored 38 points.
And the Lions last year, one of the greatest offenses I've ever seen. They are the fourth highest scoring offense of all time. They scored 33.2 points a game. The greatest show on turf, which to me is the best offense of all time, is 11th. They scored 33.8 points per game. Like, I don't know where these expectations come from. The insanity of they should do this, they should do that. They should score 35 points a game. They don't play that way, number one.
Well, that you say they don't play that way. I think people want them. It's the funny part is, how many times, John, in the history of you covering this team, you and I have been talking for about 20 years, it feels like now, and we would see some guy standing outside the NovaCare complex with a sheet that says, run the ball.
Run the ball.
And now they're acquiescing to that guy, and now he's ripping his sheet up and saying, I want you to throw the ball more. Like, this is bonkers.
I mean, to be fair, it's not, I get it, the points conversation. It's not really about the points for me. I mean, get your playmakers involved. You got great playmakers. If you get AJ involved more, Saquon Barkley's going to have an easier time. I think you got too many. Guys, we had -1 passing yards at the half.
No,
now, I know it's not all. It's a game, but I mean, holy shit. You know, I don't think I'm asking for too much to say they could get these guys more involved.
Well, I feel like I agree with that, Zander, is that I feel like they kind of they got stuck in their ways a little bit here, and teams are saying, well, you're not going to do that to it, especially the Rams. The Rams got blitzed for 200 yards in both games last year by Saquon Barkley. I think they had some pride to say, you're not doing that again. And you know what? The Eagles said, no, we're going to try to do it to you again. So they're saying, just because you're taking it away from us doesn't mean we're not going to try it. So they did it for a half, and they said, okay, now we have to get out of this. And they moved to the other direction here. But I think the Eagles have kind of got stuck in their ways with their offense because it has been working. And they're saying, look, we know we can throw the ball. We've seen it. We've showed you. Washington, NFC Championship game. Kansas City, Super Bowl. Pittsburgh, regular season. If you want us to throw it, we can. But we want to be safe with the football. Our formula has been no turnovers, controlling the narrative of the game, and then pounding you out late in the game, and then getting these big runs as the back breaker. So that has been the way they've gone. How much longer can they keep using the same floor plans? You know, there's a reason there's architecture's different over the years. You know, at one point you look at that thing and you're like, okay, we got to kind of have to modify something here. And maybe the Eagles are on the fluidity here of modifying the floor plan of what their offense looks like, because I don't think these teams are going to just say, hey, Saquon, you want to rush for 2,000 yards again? Have at it.
Yeah, well, number one, and I said this before you came on, so I don't know if you heard it in the green room, Mike, but I think there's a disconnect of what opposition defenses are doing to the Eagles early in the season. And I think the assumption is because of what Saquon did last year, everything's about stopping Saquon. But first of all, two things with the Rams. Nobody played more heavy boxes against the Eagles last year than the Rams. It was over 80%. And it didn't work. So, number one, the offensive line isn't playing as well. Saquon's not playing as well. They actually played less heavy boxes yesterday than they played in both games last year. Not on Sunday. But to me, the most important question Kevin got yesterday, Kevin Petula, was about the blitz rate. And it's been off the charts over the first three games. And number one, he agreed with it. And he said, I think in the first half of the season, always people have all off season a game plan for you. They start looking for ways to stop you. We played all these teams multiple times, the teams they played early in the season. They know us really, really well. And so they're just looking for stuff. They're wanting to try new things and seeing what they can do against us. I think that's a little piece of it. And I think just by nature, if you look around the league, I think pressure's up a bit in general. So it's a league-wide thing as well, not just Eagles.
Well, but I will say, I want to interject with this real quick. Britton Covey was on with me at the Super Bowl in, I want to say, Vegas. That was the year that the Eagles fell apart, right? 2023.
Yes.
And one thing that he said that really kind of sticks into my head for this season was they went to the Super Bowl in 2022. They got off to a 10-1 start, but he had felt that teams had started to kind of figure them out and that they didn't evolve anything. They just basically rolled back the same offense as the year before, and that it was very predictable, and that by the time they got to we're in like the preseason portion of the season right now. By the time you got to the November portion of the season where there was tape on you from the year before, and then that first half of the year, that teams had really figured out what you were doing well and kind of, really frustrated them. And, he thought it was a big problem for them that they did not evolve the offense. And you're wondering, is this Kevin Petula offense the same offense as all the previous incarnations of?
Well, that's the thing. It's very similar. So by no means, like two things can be true at the same time. The Eagles, and I've said it and people get mad when I say it, ironically, it is very predictable.
Yeah.
It is conservative by the conventional wisdom of what conservative is, which is run first in a pass first league. they're conservative by nature from that perspective. All of that is true. And yet I always bring up, Jimmy Johnson, always on the program, friend of Cilio's. His offense was pretty stinking simple, which you can ask him and he'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And nobody could stop it.
The Lions on was that a Monday night game? The Lions Rams, or was that Sunday night?
Yeah, no, that was a Monday night. Yeah, Lions.
Right.
Wait,
the Lions
Ravens
game the other night. The Lions ran for 206 yards between the tackles. 206 yards between the tackles. I mean, hey, this is like everybody that's watching in the comments today that played any sort of football. It was like 2-4 power. There you go. You're getting the ball between the center and the guard, and you're running forward. Yep. They ran for 206 yards. Like, we talk about coaching in this league, and I feel like the play callers, the league was the National Football League was a professional league for a reason. Like who talked about this? Was it Fangio talked about how like they're grown men, the offensive linemen? It's like
yeah.
The league is supposed to be for grown men. The league went and got itself to the college level, and it brought these college offenses here and pretended they were college football, and they're doing all this like crazy college stuff that is all of a sudden these teams are starting to figure out these college offenses, and they're like, okay, well, now we have to kind of switch back to kind of the roots of football, which is power football. You're seeing teams last year sign running backs, Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. They all got paid big money. People are we saw Austin Genty get drafted in the top 10 this year, a running back. So people are kind of morphing back to the running back a little bit here. So it'll be interesting. We're kind of in this dynamic of change in the league. Yeah. Is it going to take? Is it going to work? It's very intriguing to see this all kind of unfold here.
To your point, and the NFL would never allow this to happen, but one of the things I loved about the XFL was that they would mic the coaches. And coaches don't want that because they don't want that. But in the XFL, they're looking for any viewer, blah blah blah. So I just remember Hal Mummy, longtime coach for people that remember, longtime college coach, very good offensive coach, very good reputation. So he was the offensive coordinator, I think, of Dallas or somebody, and they had him mic'd up. And Dallas was going on this drive, to your point about the running Mike and running the same play. And they were moving the football and they were running and they were gashing them. And this was Hal Mummy's play call, like 4 plays in a row. Run, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. That was his play call. 4 plays in a row.
It's funny because we were sitting here on Sunday watching the game, and I used to, when I called play-by-play, one of the color analysts that I used to do the game with, he would say, Mike, you know what play that's called? It's called again. You run it again until they stop you.
Exactly.
And my dad says to me, my dad looked at me, he was like, that's that again play that your color guy used to always talk about in the football games. Yeah, run it again.
And I thought that was so great because it gave, but nobody watches it. Nobody was watching the XFL, but it gave you I think it would have educated so many fans who think this is brain surgery.
Well,
like if you got something, Penei Sewell tape from that game is just absurd. That's like an NBA guy scoring 60. He was having that type of game, just pancaking people and all that stuff. But
I know that as fans, most of the time, 99.9, you watch the game wanting to win in that moment by any means necessary. And these teams, while they want to win, they're not coaching and playing to not win. They're coaching and playing to win with the big picture in mind, like setting plays up 3 weeks down the road. Or I don't want to use this play this week because I want to use it against a defense that I think this play matches up better against. So I'm not saying they're holding their cards close to the vest and not trying to win games, but they don't have everything in their arsenal every single week. They practice a bunch of plays, and these are the plays we're going to utilize in this week's game here. And some people would say, well, why can't you just run a play that wasn't on your your game plan?
And that's another thing. People do not do that. They do not do that.
Right. It's like, well, we didn't practice this play all week long, so we're not going to call it.
I was trying to explain that yesterday. I'm glad you brought that up, Mike. The assumption, because you had this first half, second half mentality that the Eagles changed they ripped up the game plan and they just ran a bunch of plays. Did you
hear what Peyton Manning said about halftime?
Oh yeah, I bring it up all the time. Yeah, he said it for years. Vic Fangio just said it 2 weeks ago.
I know.
And, don't listen to me.
The only thing I ever did at halftime was eat oranges.
Yeah, and take a leak. He did say that previously. You go to the bathroom, you have a couple of orange slices, and you come out. And Vic just said it 2 weeks ago. He's like,
Vic said, by the time I get off the elevator, I got to go right back up.
But it's the most overrated thing in football, halftime adjustments. By far.
Which is funny, though, because I think Vic's defense has only given up like 14 points.
But he's adjusting constantly.
No, I know. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it is funny because the second half defenses have been really good.
But to that point, if people want to believe halftime adjustments are meaningful,
no, I don't. I was just adding the context.
I can't help them. I mean, you hear it. Forget about me. You're hearing it from Vic Fangio. You're hearing it from maybe the greatest regular season quarterback of all time from a consistency standpoint. I mean, listen to them.
Absolutely. Hey, and listen, I think the Eagles offense right now, the frustrating part is this. I say this all the time on my show, which is if you put this offense in, say, Cincinnati, and you have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and this offensive line and Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley and Joe Burrow's the quarterback, they're not going to run the ball as much as they do here. And you would probably see some high-flying, crazy offense.
Oh, yeah, you would.
That everybody would be talking about. And that's where I think people are perplexed at times of like, man, you have all this talent. Like if you put this team with Jared Goff's offense, the funny part is we don't perceive Jared Goff to be this great quarterback, but he's pretty darn freaking good. All right. The guy is very precision. Good. Right. If you put this offense in LA with the Rams, with Matthew Stafford in it. Now, Stafford missed a lot of throws the other day. He might be declining a little bit, but he's still a pretty damn good, quarterback. If you gave this group of guys to pretty much any quarterback in the league, you would think that team would probably build it around the receivers. The Eagles have chosen to build it more around the quarterback, what he's strong at, and the running back. And that means
they really built it, to be fair, they really built it around the offensive line.
That too. Well, and that is the thing. I said all of last year, they have Brown, they have Smith, they have Barkley, they have Hurts. But the real star of this offense is the offensive line. That's who the star is. And the Eagles finally acquiesced to that by building the offense around them. Now, the question can be asked, is that offensive line having as good of a big of an impact this year as they've had? One of the things that won me over about Sirianni was all the way back in his first year when they tried to pass, and they couldn't pass for shit. So they said, you know what? Let's just run the ball. They ran themselves into the playoffs because he decided to change the offense because his offensive line was so good. And here we are 5 years later. He still has this great offensive line. And he says, that's what got me my first taste of the playoffs. I'm not getting away from that. And that's one of the reasons why I think they are so, and smartly, by the way, they have one thing that no one in this league has, the asset of the offensive line. The teams cannot prepare an offense the way they do because their offensive lines stink. So that is one thing that is so different about them from all these other teams that we see.
Do they look the same to you, though, right now, Mike?
Well, the offensive line, I think, is having, Dickerson's not himself. I think he's not nearly as dominant.
I think that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's impacting Cam too a little bit. I mean, I don't know how.
Well, Cam had a bad game against the Rams. Everybody had a bad game except for.
And you have a new right guard, Steen. I don't know if he's
graded out higher than the other two on the interior.
Well, to be fair, I think Matt Pryor, according to Pro Football Focus, had one of the higher grades on the offensive line.
That's so true. Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of that.
Well, he only played like 14 snaps.
Yeah,
they weren't good.
I know. That's what I said, Mike.
Well, the thing is, that's what I think people don't understand. Like, they're not weighting the bad snaps. In other words, if you have you have 9 snaps where you do what you're supposed to do and 5 snaps where you shit the bed, they're not overweighting it. It's like you have 9 good plays and you have 5 bad plays. Yeah,
but I think you got to keep that, but add that in. You got Dickerson probably not at the same level. You've got a new right guard, so maybe there's not as much simpatico nature in that side. You've had Lane Johnson go out for a full game for the most part over there. So you've had situations where the line is not the same. It's not as dominant and impactful as it was a year ago. And couple that with teams are probably showing you different looks that you didn't see as much of last year.
Yeah, they're blitzing from the buses, which I think everybody's got to that point. That's the issue. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? And I don't think we still have the answer, because the Rams' biggest mistake on Sunday was easing off. And they thought they won the game at 26-7.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they shift the way they're playing. And things start to look better for the Eagles. So it works both ways, but they have to figure out this blitz issue, because until they figure it out, and you got Todd Bowles coming up.
Yeah, well, John? I mean, it doesn't it feel simple of like how to stop it, how to make them pay, like they did in the second half.
One thing that I'm not a big fan of what they tried to do a couple times, especially in the first half, is you're setting up pass plays for Saquon Barkley, who is not a great receiver. So teams are trying to get him off.
By the way, say that again, Mike. What did you say? What did you say? What did you just say?
Saquon Barkley, not a great receiver. We saw the one game they lost last year against the Falcons was a catch that every human being makes. And he dropped a pass very similar to that on Sunday, where it's just a pass right over out of the backfield, curling out, and he just drops it.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have great hands. He's not a fluid receiver. Now, if you get him the ball in space, it's a great play to have him, because you want him in the open field making people miss. The problem
I was just joking, because I got shit on an entire offseason for pointing that out to people who thought he was going to be the slot receiver. You didn't need a slot receiver, Mike, because Saquon could be a receiver from the slot. Anyway.
Well, I would like to see what happens here when Shipley comes back, if they can utilize him more in the pass game.
I think he'll be back this week.
If those plays calls that Barkley was getting these swing passes and stuff thrown to him,
Shipley,
if those go to Shipley, and that you might have a little something different. And then you can't be and that's not to say that people are just going to keep letting you throw the ball to Barkley, but Barkley has to show that he can catch the ball with consistency.
Yeah, and I think overall, just that this is where I think, I get it. They want to play the way they want to play, but you still have to be more versatile. You have to show teams you can beat them in more ways. You get all these blitzes. John gave the percentage, 48% blitz. All right, well, you're going to see that until you prove you can throw the ball effectively when they do blitz it. They did that in the second half. I think they got to do more of that moving forward and take back control, because I don't think they could just come in and say, hey, we got this offensive line and Saquon Barkley, let's just play this way. But it is what it is. We'll see how they keep moving forward. Mike, I got to ask you, CJ Gardner-Johnson released yesterday after
Hashtag no.
Hashtag no, but what the heck happened? I mean, three games. I mean, I know he's a headache, but, 60% of JAKIB people on the poll, poll said, bring him back, Mike. They want to bring him back.
I saw my social media timeline yesterday, and I couldn't believe how many people were like, make it happen, Hallie, make the call. First off, I think you can't bring him back until after the 4th week, right? Isn't that the rule there? That's one.
Well, I'm trying to clarify that.
He's vested. I don't know. It's confusing in the NFL rules.
Okay, well, a couple things here. One, obviously the Texans saw what the Eagles had gone through, was a malcontent who wasn't happy with his role in that defense. He didn't like the way they were using him, and he was letting people know as the team is 0-3, he's getting more and more vocal about the role that he does not like. Now, when the team's winning, you don't hear this stuff as much. But at the end of the year, when the team wins the Super Bowl and they're like, you know what, I don't need this headache another full season, we'll move on from this. The Texans got the full, brigade in the first 3 weeks. Why? Because they're 0-3. So he's letting it all out. So if the Eagles were having a major problem at safety, then I think you could make an argument to maybe you kick the tires just because you're struggling so bad. You got a young kid there who, quite frankly, has made some plays. You're not having conversations, at least I'm not aware of every week saying, oh, man, this safety spot's a disaster. It's not like 2 years ago where you had to go out and get Kevin Byard because Edwards and the other guy from Tampa were so bad.
Justin Evans. Well, he got hurt, but
right. But I'm saying that year had
to your point, though, Mike. You're right. We haven't come out of the 3 games like, oh shit, we better address the safety or it's going to be a big problem. I mean, I think it's been fine. I don't.
Yeah, and you have a young player. You don't want to stunt that young player's growth right now. The Eagles, give it, to their credit, they've replaced 5 players on defense. They have the youngest defense in the NFL right now, and they're growing. Remember, last year for the first 4 weeks of the season, their defense didn't look like a top 5 defense in the league. They ended up being the best defense in the league by the end of the year, but that progressively got better and better and better. You don't want to bring a guy in here to now I know he knows the defense and all that stuff, but the young safety, Makuba, you don't want to stunt his growth. Now, I know he's not getting every single snap here, but I would imagine if CJ Gardner-Johnson comes back, he's going to want every single snap. So to me, that's a hashtag no.
Yeah. Hashtag no, I like it.
Hashtag that's mine. Mike stole that from me, but yes.
Well, we laugh all the time because John, we used to talk every single day, and anytime someone would get cut, I would ask John on the show, any big name, veteran or former Eagle, a former Eagle. Now, listen, he's a former Eagle who has connections to a team that won the Super Bowl, so I do understand the allure of saying let's get this guy back, but I don't really think you need Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back here. You're not having major issues at that position.
No, you are not. All right. We're acclimated, Mike. Who's going to win the football game? The House of Horrors, Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Todd Bowles owns Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Who's going to win the football game?
Well, I know Tampa's got Mike Evans out, but it looks like Godwin might come back and play for them. I love their offense. It's similar to like
Vic
what
loves
the Eagles
Baker
have.
too, man. He was really gushing.
Vic loves Baker, but their offense is similar to what the Eagles have. They have a group of guys, Baker, Godwin, Irvin, Evans, when he's healthy, that have all played together for a couple of years now. So they have that going for them. Coupled with the fact that you're going on the road, you're finding these ways to win. I feel like Tampa right now is one of these teams that's also finding ways to win, though. They are the only team in history, since the merger anyway, that have won the game in the final minute of all 3 games for them. So both these teams are kind of scratching and clawing, but I feel like the difference is them being at home, the heat, all that stuff. So I think Tampa probably – look, you got to lose one somewhere in here. So this would seemingly be the spot that you would lose the game. So I would not be shocked if I was here next week, and we're talking about what happened. Why didn't they do this?
I'm not picking the Eagles to lose till they actually lose, Mike. That is my platform right now. Till they actually lose a game, I'm not picking them to lose. Though I will say this about Chris Godwin, because very good receiver, but he hasn't played in.
He
missed 12 games.
Ibuka has been awesome for them.
No, he's been awesome. Well, I don't think you're going to see the Chris Godwin his first game back. I think there's got to be a little bit of a ramp up period.
Hey, listen, and Kevin Petula's got to figure out a way to diffuse a Todd Bowles defense that you've had all sorts of problems with over the years. Now, the thing that they did win down there 2 years ago, 25-11. They basically
they destroyed them down there.
They beat that. That was one of their best wins of that 2023 season. You had that win, which was they keep playing this team like in the first 4 weeks of the season down there.
I know.
Can you give me a December game in Tampa so I can get down there and enjoy it?
What do you think about going down a day early to acclimate to the heat? That Vic blew up yesterday. He was like, yeah, come on. You're not acclimating. You're not taking a pill and acclimating to the heat.
I agree. You go down to the heat and you sit on a beach for one day. It doesn't mean the next day it feels any better. It's still hot as hell, especially down there. It's like suffocating sometimes when you're not. It's not like here.
You got a lot of Clearwater experience, so you know what it's like down there.
Yeah, it's not here like where it's like someone takes saran wrap and puts it around your face. It's just like hot. You're just like annoyed like how hot it is. You're like, oh man, because the sun, it just feels like it's literally like you can give the sun a high five.
Yeah, gonna be good. Mike, good stuff, brother. Final question for me, real quick, before you run: is Keely Ringo going to play this weekend? And if he does, is it going to be better or worse than Adoree Jackson's been?
It's interesting that they asked about Ringo, and he said, like, you might see him. I would not assume that he's like getting ready to get some reps here. I think Bennett did play a little bit last week. I think that's because
Adoree got hurt.
They might both not play. Adoree and Jakorian. That's the problem.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think if Bennett is healthy enough to play, he probably. I don't know, John, how you feel about this. You talk to these guys more, but I feel like they essentially want him to try to be the guy, and he just hasn't been healthy, and he just got here. Like, remember last year, we keep kind of comparing his situation to Cooper's, where, Cooper was hurt, and then 4 weeks in, you would think by the fourth week that Bennett now kind of has his footing under him, but then he keeps getting hurt, and he's a guy similar to Avonte Maddox. You seemingly can't trust him because he's always hurt. Maddox's problem is when he played, he was pretty good. He just was always hurt until he got to the point where he was hurt so much that he no longer could play at the same level. Bennett just keeps getting hurt too. That was one of his problems out in Vegas. He was constantly hurt out there. He's a smaller guy. By the way, that Isaiah Rodgers would look nice wearing midnight.
Yeah, how about that? The first perfect grade in PFF history, whatever that means.
But Ringo, I think Ringo would be an option here, obviously, if you're not healthy. I don't think if you're healthy, though, I think it's evident they don't want to play him unless they have to. Now, is he one of these guys that is a gamer that needs to be in live reps as opposed to practice?
I don't know about that.
If Keely Ringo plays, I'll be excited to see it. Throw him in the deep end, see what he does.
Yeah, it can't be much worse. I agree. We'll see what happens. Mike, good stuff, man. Appreciate you joining in. Make sure you guys follow him at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Listen to him at 97.3 ESPN and 97.5 The Fanatic. Mike, good stuff, brother. We'll talk to you next week, man.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, see you.
Later, man. Yeah. There's Mike Gill joining us here on Birds 365. Great stuff there from Mike Gill. Good takeaways on where they are right now. Going to be interesting, John. I thought Mike had some interesting perspectives on the offensive evolution and, what's going on with it. But I don't know. We're going to see what they end up doing. You think they're going to go back to the ground and pound game in Tampa?
Yeah, well, I think they want to get it going. I mean, a lot of it, is Lane Johnson going to play? That probably, that affects. And we'll get the first practice report of the week, so we'll have a clearer picture of what the Eagles look like health-wise, because there are concerns with Lane and Jakorian and Adoree specifically. I do think Will Shipley might be back, so that might help you out in third downs and those type of situations. They run a lot of Platt stuff to Will Shipley in training camp, and you saw it early in game one. Really good receiver, so that might help them. Obviously, you don't want to get down 19 points again. I think if they get down 19 points to this team, they ain't coming back. Todd Bowles is too aggressive. He's not going to fall in that trap, but it's interesting because they've had such struggles, but I'm glad Mike brought up the one time they were healthy. They boat raced this team pretty much. They beat them pretty good. So, I think the Eagles are a better team.
They're banged up right now. The Bucs too, man. That
offensive line is now they might get worse back. Who's their best up, so that'll help. But
it'll help, but I mean, it is his first game back. I don't think he's going to be primetime Tristan.
Yeah,
Wirfs.
well, that's
he's a great player, but
even more so with Godwin because he's been out for so long.
Right, exactly.
And Mike Evans being out is a big loss. Because
I got that Ibuka kid who's good.
Yeah, he's very good. Well, Mike's like that guy. It's like, what do you do? It's like they're AJ Brown. He's even bigger. It's like sometimes you just throw it up to him and he's going to go get it.
Yeah.
And they don't. That to me is a big loss. Yeah, it should be a good game. I think the key is how they handle the Tampa defense. And by handle, I don't mean scoring points. I don't mean yardage. I don't mean running. I don't mean passing. I mean, how do they handle it? Like, because they're going to bring the blitz.
Yeah, but don't you agree the best way to slow that down or handle it is to be able to make them pay when they do it? I mean, look, when you're going to bring a zero blitz,
but what does that mean? They don't do.
It means what they were able to do in the second half. I mean,
they weren't blitzing in the second half. They eased up. That was their problem.
The Rams didn't blitz at all in the second half.
Well, no, but not nearly at the rate they did in the first half. Only the Eagles don't blitz at all in the Super Bowl. I mean, everybody blitzes occasionally. You got to be very careful if people take you literally, but they haven't handled the blitz well this season. Now, they haven't handled the blitz well for a long time. That's why people are doing it. That to Kevin's point, now it is league-wide as well, because I think, it's so difficult to cover past 3 seconds in this league with these quarterbacks. So the thought process around the league is you better get home. So a lot of teams are getting more aggressive. A lot of it is just there's more aggressive defensive coordinators. People skew that. And one of the guys who skews that is Todd Bowles. I mean, he's generally been super aggressive in his career. And it's worked against the Eagles in the past. And, for people all looking at, the NFL, I'm guessing here, but the NFL does things different ways. Like everybody's like, I've talked about it a bunch. Well, they're going to do what Kansas City did because Kansas City stopped Saquon. And I'm like, well, yeah, they weren't very effective. They stopped Saquon, but as a whole, so I don't think too many people are going to copy Kansas City's plan in the Super Bowl, and nobody really has. I think they're copying Todd Bowles because they've looked over the framework. Who's had success against this team, the Philadelphia? There's one team, as I pointed out. There's only one team they played more than twice that has had success against the Philadelphia Eagles in this era of football, and it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I think people pulled that tape and said, all right, let's try to replicate this. And what they try to do is pin Jalen in the pocket or make sure he goes left when he's flushing rather than right. That's been, boiling it down to the bare essentials. There's much more to it. But I think that has been the game plans early in the season have been much more focused on Jalen Hurts than Saquon Barkley. Much more focused on Jalen Hurts than Saquon Barkley by the team so far. So I think until people get to that point, I don't know how you fix it. Now, I think the Eagles are at that point. They know what's going on. And they'll try to fix it. But can they? Well, we're going to see, because over the next few weeks, you have not only Todd Bowles, but you also have Brian Flores coming out. So we're going to see.
Interesting stuff, Johnny Mac. Good stuff. We'll get to a quick commercial break. We got BLG coming up in a little bit here in about 10, 12 minutes on Birds 365. And I do want to talk to you about Keely Ringo. Is he going to get out there? I guess we'll learn a little bit more today about the injuries. We're obviously all waiting for an update on Lane Johnson and any of the other names out there. So I guess we'll get that today, right, John? At least the first injury report of the week.
First one's coming out late today, but coming out today.
Yeah, so good stuff. All right, Johnny Mac, good stuff. We'll take a quick commercial break. Hit that like button, everybody. We're trying to get to 200 likes here on the show today. We'll have Brandon Lee Gowton coming up soon here on Birds 365. We'll be right back.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand.
Thank you.
We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your gut says Miami is going to win and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on Sports Grid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen. Give him a follow on X at JF McMullen and give me a follow at Zander Krause. Don't forget to hit that like button today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, everybody. We're growing quickly right now in the season, so we appreciate all the great support we've had across the programs here on the channel. We promise to keep you covered morning, noon, and night on your Philadelphia Eagles all through the year. So thanks for being here, everybody. Johnny Mack, upcoming game this weekend, week number 4. Birds sitting at 3-0, which is obviously the best way you can start a football season. But a tough matchup coming up with Tampa Bay, obviously a team that has had the Eagles' number. Now, I know we weren't healthy in all of those games, but still something to consider coming into the game. And now some injury concerns. What do you know about those corners? Is it as bad as we think? I know Adoree went down in the game, but I never saw it as like, he's going to be done now, or miss significant time. What do you know about his injury? And then Jakorian, who I don't recall seeing that in the game, him getting hurt. So just what do we know about those two guys, and how realistic is it to actually expect maybe Ringo's the corner this weekend?
Well, I have no idea what's going on with Jakorian. I believe he was hurt on the last play, the field goal blocked, where he kind of jumped on.
I was going to say, that was a nice play by him. Nobody gave him credit, but that was a nice play to boot him out of the way.
And I think he got hurt on it. That's where. So didn't see him after the game. I saw Adoree. Adoree seems fine. It's not a long-term injury, but anytime you're talking about a groin and a corner, it's, that's tough to play through those thoroughbred positions. So there's certainly, he might miss a game or two and we'll get a better indication today when the first practice report comes out. But I would say definitely short-term cause of concern with Adoree Jackson. I have any idea how serious the injury to Bennett is or was, so that's the more uncertain one. And obviously, if both are unavailable, yeah, Keely Ringo's the next man up. So that's why Vic got the question. That's why he answered the question he answered, and it certainly seemed that just by judging by his comments that you might see Keely Ringo this week.
How do you feel about that? Do you think he's going to be?
I'm more excited. I'd rather see Keely Ringo play than Dory Jackson or Mac. Well, he's bringing not Mac McWilliams, but Jordan Bennett. I'd rather see Keely Ringo get thrown in the deep end, see what happens, and if not, rotate in Mac McWilliams. But I'd like to see him get a chance in a game because I think, again, and he had a poor summer. I'm not trying to dismiss it. Adoree Jackson won the job, deserved the job, but there's a limited upside there. And there is some thought of, maybe you recede to the background a little bit, sit down, reassess what you did wrong, and maybe something clicks because nobody disputes the physical abilities of Keely Ringo. And I'd love to see him tested. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then it's pretty much out of the equation. But like to see him get that chance, to be honest. I think it would be very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's you're kind of reaching that breaking point on him. If he doesn't get out there soon, it's his time in Philly's just going to run out. I mean, so we'll see what ends up happening with Keely Ringo. I tell you what, Baker Mayfield's going to be a tough one too against it because he gets the ball out quick. He's a good rhythm thrower. I mean, I'm a Baker Mayfield guy. I like Baker Mayfield, always have. And he's really found his rhythm there in Tampa Bay. So, one of those quarterbacks that don't get rid of that ball quickly, but does have some injuries on the offensive line, does have some injuries to the receiving group as well. So going to be a good matchup, but I do think Baker's one of those quarterbacks as well. You got to speed him up, got to get him off his spot a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I snuck that in at Vic at the end because the Eagles don't have any sacks, but their pass rush has been effective. I think they have 3 sacks. And they had 1 sack in that game. And you know what the 1 sack in that game was? Pointing to sacks being the most overrated stat in professional football. The 1 sack was the Jordan Davis rundown of Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, right.
That's registered as a sack because he didn't gain any yardage.
That was a hell of a play by Jordan Davis.
It was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a sack that people
a traditional like sack by what you're saying. I got you.
The context of sacks is always important. It's a hell of a play.
Well, that's why you've always said on this show that pressures could be viewed as equally as important.
Especially when you're playing somebody like Matthew Stafford, who's not going to take a lot of sacks, no matter what you do.
He gets the ball out too quick.
Yeah.
He's getting the ball in 2.5 seconds.
So, and that's what Big said. I don't think the lack of pass rush was an issue in that game. He got it out fairly quickly. He got some good heated times, yada, yada, yada. So, I think people look at the box score at the end and they say, oh, no sacks, 1 sack. And they say, oh, that's a bad pass rush. I don't think in fact, I think the pass rush was a big reason Matthew Stafford had a shitty game because he was that first or second throw with Jalen Carter all over him. I don't think he was the same. He was always looking for it. So yeah, people got to be very careful with that. And to your point about Baker, he's more susceptible to getting sacked than Matthew Stafford, but he's also a savvy quarterback, and he'll try to extend plays. So you'll have more opportunities to get him down. But if he's on time and the ball's coming out, that could be a problem for the Eagles.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Going to be good stuff there. Should be a good game this weekend versus the Bucs. What's the weather going to be? I think it said 88 when I looked.
I haven't looked today, but it's Tampa. It's going to be hot, and it's going to be
hot as shit, man. It's hot.
It's going to be hot and humid. Hot and humid. Just part of playing down there, and you got to. It's 80 right now, and what is it? 9:18 in the morning. It's already 80 with 78% humidity.
Oh.
It's going
That's
up
the
to
other problem with the 1
92.
o'clock game. Yeah, it just keeps getting hotter and hotter.
So, it could be worse. It's worse today. Right now, they have Sunday at 89. So it's not going to quite crack 90 and then 66% humidity. So it could be worse. It's worse today in Tampa.
Yeah, it could be way worse. Josh, there's going to be 91. That's without heat index, but it's calling for cloudy with maybe some rain. That'll help, man. Rain would be good, I think. Get some rain.
Rain is 10 minutes away down there. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Rain is at least 10 minutes away. It's a good way to put it. But coming into the game, John, how did they build on what they did last week? I know we've talked about whether they're going to keep it up, but I think I did think personally, and this is maybe the Eagle fan in me, but I thought it was a good game in week 3 because you learned a lot. I mean, I thought you could learn about your team. You learned your back was against the wall early. Good early adversity for a team. I think they got a chance to find some rhythm offensively. So I thought that's a good game to learn something about yourself. Now, you don't win Super Bowls in September, but it is what it is. But I did think it was something they could build on. How do you see that part of it coming into this game here versus the Bucs week 4?
Yeah, I mean, I think people saw what they wanted to see because of the circumstance, but they've seen it in the past. So to me, it's about, you don't want to play like that. You don't want to get down 19 points. So, and I think you heard it in Nick Sirianni's comments after the game. He was like, we can't keep playing like this. And he said he was proud of everybody. And even if the field goal went through, he would have been proud of them for fighting. And, he made that, the dangerous team, a team that never gives up, yada, yada, yada. And that's part of their success as well. They think they're going to win games. I mean, that's a big part of it. They like to compartmentalize. They like to say everything's week to week, and they do that well. But where the prior success helps them is most teams give up when they're down 26-7. They didn't. So that part of it is positive. But I think from the coaching standpoint, I don't think they look at that game as a positive. It was a really sloppy game. And they were they were happy with all the intangible stuff. That bite, never give up.
I mean, overall, if you look at the full game, yes, it was a sloppy game, but it's got to be a little. I mean, look, I hear you, but there's no way Kevin Petula wasn't, didn't take something from that second half. It might have been circumstantial or not, but he has yet to be the play caller when you saw an offensive explosion like that. So it's got to feel good for him. It's got to give him a little bit of ground to stand on as a first-year play caller.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't think it matters to them as much as what like outside people view it as. Like, he certainly knows that they're perceived as too conservative and perceived as not explosive or whatever, not taking advantage, however you want to frame it. But they've already come to grips with this, with their philosophy as a whole. So I don't think so. When he got that question, the conservative question, what did he say? He said, I wouldn't say conservative is the word. Like in their mind, it's not the word because they don't look at it the same way that you look at it or I look at it or fans look at it.
You got the best offensive personnel in football, and you had -1 yard in the halftime, Kevin. I don't really give a shit what you want to call it. All right. It wasn't good. That's all we know.
But the point is they're not gauging things the way you're gauging things.
Well,
they're gauging things, the fact that they're not performing at the level that they want to perform at. And they're trying to fix the running game issue. Number one, I guarantee that's number one on the list. They had a guy who ran for 2,504 yards who's averaging 3.3 yards a carry. They're trying to fix that. They're not trying to say, oh, we can't run the ball, so we're just going to throw it all over the lot.
Well,
like they're trying to fix.
I don't think anybody's saying to become a crazy pass-happy team. It's just you got to have a better balance.
They're trying to fix what they typically do well, and they haven't done well, which I think is for a bunch of reasons. Offensive line, Saquon hasn't played as well. 3 and outs, negative plays. One first down changes everything, and then you get rolling, and then you can throw some tempo in there. But when you're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and think about, I think they had 4 consecutive. We can bring BLG. I see him in the green room.
Yeah,
I think it was 4. But think about all of those drives. They could have one run, and all of a sudden, all right, maybe you start to get rolling. It could be one flat pass. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get anything going.
Let's go to BLG now. Brandon Lee Gouton joining the show here on Birds 365. You can read him at bleedinggreennation.com. Follow him on X at Brandon Gouton. BLG, welcome to the program, brother. How you doing on this Wednesday morning?
Doing good, guys.
Good to see you, BLG. All right, I'm going to throw it to you. The difference between the Eagles in the first half and the second half, I'm going to give you a couple options or throw in your own option. Circumstance, they ripped up the entire playbook and ran a bunch of plays they didn't practice during the week, or Jalen Hurts took over the play calling from Kevin Patullo. Or add your own. What happened?
Well, it seems like most people want to believe the latter of all of those options happened. I mean, to me, it's simple as they just played better. Like, they were not playing well in the first half. It's not just about the play call. It's about execution as part of it. It's both things. It's more than one thing. But, like, as an offense, they just were not playing well. Like, they weren't blocking well, weren't running the ball well. It seems like that's been a big problem, I think, for this offense as a whole early in the season, is that the running game just isn't there. And I don't think it's because Saquon Barkley doesn't look good, because there's runs where, and he just had one of these on Sunday, where someone will really be getting to him in the backfield and he'll break out of it and he'll still make a 4-yard run out of what should be a loss. So I don't think it's him only. I think the blocking just hasn't been working there. And that's kind of what you need in the run game. It's like you can have most of the players doing it well, but one of the players messes up and it ruins the run. So as a whole, I think they just started to look a lot more crisp. Certainly, getting A.J. Brown involved, throwing the ball to him helps a lot, not overthinking it. But I really just think they executed a lot better.
Yeah, people don't like the execution word. I used that yesterday. It did not go over well, BLG. I'm like, that's what it is in every game, like execution. I mean, it really
talk
is.
About,
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
it is not fun.
Right, but at the end of the day, I mean, look, A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts both sounded the same, where they say, hey, we got to stop playing to lose. So How do you gauge, I agree with you guys. I mean, look, they did execute obviously better, but how do you gauge what the quarterback and the star wide receiver said with, hey, we simply just did a better job at, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't feel like that's a perfect matchup. What do you think of that, BLG?
Well, I do think there's an approach issue here with the offense, and I think that's what AJ and Jalen are getting at. And certainly the Eagles being very careful with the football served them well last year, inarguably. But there has to be a balance between we're going to be smart and take care of the football, and we're going to give the ball to our best players and take chances at times and be aggressive at times, more than not at all, which is basically that was out of whack for prior to the second half of that game. Clearly, it's okay if Jalen Hurts throws an interception downfield when he's taking a shot to A.J. Brown. It's basically like a punt, especially if it's on third down at that point. They weren't doing that enough.
Yeah, I think there were 3 throws over 20 yards in the first 2 games. So clearly, they need to get going. Now, the most interesting thing to me is not the stuff that everyone talks about. And I think the biggest problem to date with the Eagles offense has been inability to handle the blitz, and people are blitzing like crazy this team. Absurd percentage rates. I don't think you can fix a problem. I don't think this is a problem with the Eagles. I think they know what's going on. But I think everybody is like, oh, they're loading up the box to stop Saquon Barkley. They loaded up the box to stop Saquon Barkley last year. A lot of times it didn't work, especially the Rams. They can't handle this blitz. And then all of a sudden you see Todd Bowles on your schedule. This league has a way of highlighting your flaws. Why are teams blitzing so much, and why are the Eagles unable to handle it?
Well, we know Spags does it in week 2 just because that's what he does. You know?
But he did it. But even for him, he had never run that much zero blitz in his time in Kansas City. So even he amped it up from his normal rate.
I mean, I think teams are doing it because they feel like they can have success with it. And I think Saquon has had problems there, picking up some blitzes here early in the season. I think that's been an issue. We saw that against the Rams. I think teams are, going to try to look to test the Eagles' offensive line. Certainly when Lane Johnson goes out, that's part of it too. But ultimately it's weird because, it feels like the Eagles can have success with that. And one thing I was thinking a lot about going into the Super Bowl last year and how much people were talking about how the Eagles going to deal with the blitz. And the framing of that was always as like, it's this thing that only can benefit the defense and doesn't open up opportunities for the offense, which it can. It's like a double-edged sword there. Obviously, there's risk reward to it. And, I think teams are going to keep doing it, especially Todd Bowles. Because, they've had success with it against Jalen Hurts. And the only way that, it's going to get off of that is if Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense start to have success against it and make teams go away from it.
Bill J, one of the best ways to handle the blitz is the hot routes. It doesn't seem like the Eagles have any of them or use them, at least to an extent that they could manage the blitz, from play in to play out. Where's the fault lie for that? Is that on Jalen? Is that on Kevin Patullo? Is that on Nick Sirianni? Why is that? Or do you see it differently? Maybe you do think that maybe I'm off base on the hot route comment. What do you think?
Well, I think, we saw that in terms of one thing the Eagles like to do against the blitz. It seems is like, take those shots downfield like we saw, and that works to some extent.
Go route it. That's all they do.
That they seem to kind of like to take, and that's what I kind of going back to what I said. There's opportunities that open up when the other team blitzes that you can kind of sometimes get more aggressive against that, or sometimes too where Jalen's able to take off running because they send everyone at him, and all of a sudden there's no one left there if he's able to get into, break past that first line there, past the line of scrimmage, then suddenly no one's there to tackle him, and he can run for some gains there. So again, opportunities open up for it too. I think it's not certainly the offense we saw in 2023 where they literally just had no answer at all for the blitz and couldn't do anything by the end of the season there.
Yeah, it continues to, hot. I know that's a big thing. I mean, they have watched Nick Sirianni's offense with Phillip Rivers. They had plenty of hot routes. I mean, a lot of that is quarterback, receiver side adjustment on the field. 90% of that, they're certainly in the offense, but the Eagles just aren't good at it, so they don't do it a lot. There's a lot of wide receiver screens as well, which is my least favorite play in the history.
See, the thing I don't get is and sorry, John, to cut you, just I feel like I see Jalen so much at the line of scrimmage, especially in that second half where he's calling out things at the line of scrimmage. And obviously I would assume that's where hot routes are set. You line on the scrimmage, you line up, you think a blitz is coming based on what the defense is showing you. You signal to A.J. Brown, okay, give me a slant, give me something underneath for a quick throw. Is he just not getting to the right things? You know what I mean? I'm trying to pinpoint where it is because I have seen Jalen audibling and changing things at the line of scrimmage.
Well, BLG, if you want to, I mean, from my perspective, and you can watch NFL films, or the modern game isn't as much, if you're the quarterback, you'll see all the time, they'll put up, 54 is the mic, they're setting protection. Number one, they're trying to assess where the blitz is coming, if the blitz is coming. And then you have to adjust with the receiver. Perhaps there's a sight route. Now, 9 times out of 10 with a modern offense, you're just killing from run to pass or pass to run.
Right.
So you say kill, can. Right. So, just because you see him, it could be as simple as 55's the mic. Mm-hmm. Could be as simple as that. Trying to alert everyone, slide protection one way. Could be as simple as that. Could be as detailed as Tom Brady making those sight adjustments. It depends on the actual play, but in a modern game, you generally have 2 plays. One pass, one run. One is the main play, and you can kill or can that play to the other play. That's mainly what goes on in the modern NFL. And then, Jalen's gotten better at it, but I would not say that's a strength of the Eagles offense. It hasn't been in this era of football. And maybe they get better, but you know what is a strength, BLG? Those go routes.
Yeah.
Nobody throws those go routes better.
I mean, that's the weird part to me when Nick Sirianni is talking about how Jalen Hurts doesn't get enough credit for that. It's like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at that, and we just haven't seen it, at the level, especially prior to the second half of that Rams game, the frequency. It's like this is something that one of your quarterback is really good at it, so it should be a big part of the offense.
Yeah.
The best throw though, PLG from Jalen Hurts, you rarely see the seam route to Dallas Goedert. He let that thing rip.
Yes, he did.
Like he usually doesn't let it rip. That
Over the middle, he doesn't. Typically, he's not throwing over the middle, but it's not because he can't. That's the thing. It's weird because it's not that he can't do it. That's never been the issue. It's just he doesn't do it with frequency.
Well, that brings up, and I think this is a legitimate point. Perhaps that's what's going on. Has it been beaten into his head to be conservative, to not take that chance too much? That's a fine line, but he seems hyper concerned with taking care of the football. And by the way, we're at 3 games, 0 interceptions.
Yeah.
There's good to that. There's a lot of good. 19 of 20 wins, 40 takeaways, 9 giveaways, which is just unbelievable over that kind of stretch. So there's a lot of good to it. But is that the simple fix to this problem? Everybody wants to see more offense, more. Are they just too hyper concerned over ball security? I think that's it.
Yeah. I mean, the players said it, right? Again, AJ and Jalen are saying it. And there's a balance, right? You can't go to you don't want to go to the opposite end of the spectrum where, turn the ball over left and right, but being more aggressive. There has to be somewhere between the two extremes, as Nick Sirianni says, but somehow ends up in a situation where I don't think he always follows his own preaching. A wise man avoids all extremes. I think these are so extreme with the ball protection that they can get away from what works well. And I just think there's a lot of room between what they do there and what they could be doing in terms of dialing it up and being more aggressive. They don't have to be the most aggressive offense in the NFL, but they could be somewhere between that and also the most, conservative where they've been to start the season.
My bad. BLG, my bad. On the defensive side of the ball, a lot of talk about CJ Gardner-Johnson gets released yesterday. I don't want to go down that road quite this second, but
I want to go down the CJ route.
We'll get there. Let me get the corner first. I want to ask BLG what he thinks of the corner situation here. It looks like Adoree's banged up. Looks like Jakorian's banged up. You might see Keely Ringo out here. Is this the opportunity for Keely Ringo to finally maybe put his foot in the turf and win this job? I don't think Adoree's done enough to he gets the job when he comes back. What do you think of that situation coming in? Because that's probably been the biggest concern on the team personnel wise so far is the cornerback too.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that Vic Fangio said he's been saying to Keely recently that not maybe you'll get an opportunity. He said you're gonna get an opportunity at some point. And I think that's always been the case. I don't think just because Keely Ringo fell out of the starting quarterback training camp by the end of training camp there, that meant we'll never see him again. And it's just over for the rest of his career. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I feel extremely confident about him playing well based on the struggles we have seen from him and most recently this summer. But, this is a 23-year-old player who, in theory, could benefit from some playing time. As Vic Fangio will always tell you, you're only going to get better if you, or at least, have the chance to get better when you do play. So, that's always been my mindset is that we haven't heard the last of Keely Ringo just because he lost the training camp battle. It's possible that he's just not a good player and he gets in there and he struggles and we see why he wasn't able to beat out Adoree Jackson. And that's a very real concern. That's entirely possible, if not likely to me. But I'm also not going to rule out the possibility that he could come in and he could be better than expected. We saw Keely Ringo play well in the past when he was a rookie. He looked he looked decent. And, it's a bit of a time ago and it's multiple years ago. And the defense as a whole certainly wasn't playing well back then. But we've seen him have some level of success at times. So I'm not ready to say he's just a lost cause and there's no hope for him.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping he plays because I want to see it. I mean, I think I've seen enough of Adoree Jackson. I know what he is, and I think people are too harsh on him. I think he's fine, but there's limitations there. Haven't been that excited with Jacorian Bennett, and I think Ringo has the highest upside if everything clicks. Now, I'm also more to your point of, look, he wasn't good in the summer. I mean, we're not trying to understate that, but and it's probably more likely that he fails than succeeds. But I still have that little bit of hope that maybe things click, and maybe it helped him. Maybe you just take a step back and think and say, all right, maybe I was pressing, maybe I was doing this. Just let it come to you, blah, blah, blah. I think there's still some optimism there.
Yeah, and the example I bring up is like Nolan. Look at Nolan Smith last year. Nolan Smith by the end of training camp, the end of summer, playing in the third preseason game, more into that game than you would have expected. And he made a major turnaround last year. Again, that doesn't guarantee Keelu will be on the same track, but like there is possibility he could get better, and over the course of the season. So at some point, he should get a chance to play.
All right, CJ, let's do it. I mean, the Eagles aren't bringing this guy back. I don't even know if they can. The NFL has such arcane rules. I tried to get clarification from the league, and they don't know. So it's interesting. So that part aside, I was just trying to, if he could come back, I wouldn't want him. Would you entertain it if you're the Philadelphia Eagles?
The best way I see CJ coming back would be if the Eagles put him in the slot again, where he had, and I don't even know if he's as good as that as he used to be earlier in his career, and you move Cooper DeJean to the outside. I don't think the Eagles have any interest in doing that because I don't think they want to move DeJean. I also don't even know if CJ wants to play in the slot. He seems to like the move to safety for him.
Let's think about Vic. I said that is a very fundamental, disciplined position.
Yep.
I don't think Vic Fangio would want CJ Gardner-Johnson near the slot in his defense.
The other thing I think people should remember is that like the Eagles were willing to cut CJ like before. They obviously didn't trade him for much. So, and there was obviously a financial element to that, but it's not just 100% financial. And also the fact that this is now the fifth time a team has made a decision to move on from him since 2022 here, since the Saints originally moved on from him. There's obviously, evidence here that, it's a common denominator here. And that doesn't mean he's not a playmaker. He could go somewhere and be valuable for a certain team. But I just think, too, with the progress that we're seeing from Andrew Makuba, you're going to shelf him all of a sudden. Like, I don't think that makes sense for this team. If the Eagles if CJ's still out there and the Eagles, have some safety injuries here, that conversation could change. But as it currently stands, no.
It's exactly what I said. If there's injuries, they'll revisit, and if he's still on the street, then you revisit. But think about Houston. I mean, they just guaranteed this guy almost $7 million. And think about who the coach is in Houston, D'Amico Ryans, and we both know how professional that guy is. And they said, all right, we want out of the CJ Gardner-Johnson. At some point, people have to realize that, all right, this guy might be a bigger headache. But to me, with the Eagles, even that, to your point about Drew Makuba, like, what has he done wrong?
Yeah.
I don't want to sit that guy. He looks like he has tremendous upside. And to your point about moving him in the slot, I don't think he's disciplined enough for Vic in the slot. I just don't. And I just don't see the fit. And if he does come back, BLT, the last part of it is he'd be taking less money.
Yeah.
How happy would he be? Maybe he could mask it for a couple weeks, but eventually you're going to have some type of issue. I think Howie Roseman is too smart. Now, injuries change everything. If you're desperate, you can't get good players in October or November in this league, then maybe you revisit. But by that point, he's got enough talent. I'm not disputing him. He's a good player, good playmaker. We've seen it. I think somebody will give him another chance, but his agent's got to be sitting him down and saying, look, dude, you're very close to running out of opportunities in this league.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's now. It's not now. You don't think it's now, do you?
No.
I think,
How many will
teams
pick 'em
are
up?
so desperate. There'll be
Yeah.
injuries.
It's
Somebody-
almost impossible though to not see red flags. I mean, even for the Eagles fans who are calling for him back, I think they're all like, "Well, I know he's a headache, but he'll still improve your team." So I get it. Look, you don't win championships with choir boys. At some point, you need a little bit of, for lack of a better word, assholery on your team. I just don't know if we need that much because we already got some of it, which is a good thing. But I don't know if we want to go too much of it. I just don't think Vic likes him, guys. Honestly, I don't think Vic wants him.
Yeah. Well, I think that's fair too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Vic, he blew up that acclamation period again. Different. He loves blowing up acclamation periods. How silly is that? PLG. Look, it's not a big deal either way. The Eagles are going down a day early to Tampa. But here's why I don't like it. One, Vic, as I said, blew it up. It's like you can't acclimate to the heat in one day. Two, you can't take a pill to acclimate to the heat. But here's why I don't like it. You're highlighting your past failures by changing up the way you do things. And I'm of the perspective, like there's a lot of context. There's only one team that has beaten the Eagles that Nick Sirianni has a losing record against, that he has played 2 times. He's got a couple 0-1s, Las Vegas. I think the Chargers are 1. Everybody else he's got a winning record against, except the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But in a lot of these games, the playoff game in 23, injuries last year, no Lane, no AJ, no Devontae. In the regular season in 2023, when they were healthy, they beat them by 2 touchdowns down there. Like, I think there's a lot of context to their failures.
Yeah.
And I think highlighting them and bringing them back and people, I don't think that's the right thing to do. I rarely disagree with the Eagles, but I disagree on this one. Not a big deal, but just wanted to get your thought on it.
Well, Vic did say, it's a mindset thing, right? Like dealing with the heat. And you could argue that maybe if you're going down there, and I agree that it doesn't like actually help you get acclimated, but maybe if you want to say it's a mindset thing, maybe that you could convince yourself it puts you in the mindset, okay, today was hot, and it's going to be hot the next couple of days too. I'm used to it. I've already been through this. So I guess that's the spin you could put on it. I do like that, I guess, from a standpoint of they realize they have to do something different from last year. Because I think it's quite frankly, they weren't ready for the heat last year based on just how players were passing out. Like maybe that'll happen again, but it did seem like they weren't fully prepared for that level of heat. So it does seem like in theory, they should be better prepared this year. I don't know, obviously you can only prepare so much for that. Part of it, it is hot and you're going to have to deal with it, but maybe it's players kind of hydrating better the day before and everything, and making sure they're not taking that lightly, and they're actually going to be ready for this time, for this environment. So again, you can only do so much, but I do like that they're at least going into it knowing that is a problem they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one here. BLJ, overall, coming out of the game last week, I know we talked about whether it was circumstantial the way they played, but look, I'm an Eagle fan. I felt optimism that the team learned a lot about themselves in that game. You go through some adversity. Your team looks maybe the worst half of football I've seen in a long time for this Eagles team in the first half, and they're able to bounce back and go and get the win in kind of a highly emotional game. I thought there was a lot to take from it for the locker room. How do you build on that moving forward, coming up with this game? Obviously a tough game in Tampa as well.
Yeah, I think it's naive to think, oh, this fixes everything. This is the turning point. There's no looking back. But I do think that this is absolutely a sign of tangible progress for them, and they can build on certain things for sure. So I feel encouraged by it. I think back to, it's not an apples to apples situation, but when the Eagles beat the Giants in 2017 with that Jake Elliott field goal, that win really energized that team. And for a team here that was going through, some like, okay, we won, but it's uneven. People weren't like feeling amazing, after that win over the Chiefs. That wasn't like the whole energy and the vibe in the city for sure. But there is more of that now coming off of this win against the Rams. And I think that can serve you well. I think that can kind of energize things and help build up confidence and help you feel like, okay, there's some things here that we like that we can try to continue to use or build on, move forward. So I do think that can be valuable, just having seen, that be valuable in the past for this team.
All right. Always subject to change because we get you so early in the week. But Raymond James Stadium, House of Horrors for the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of people would say this is a logical loss because they're 3-0 and they can't go 17-0. But I personally, BLG, am not picking this team to lose till they actually lose. Where are you heading into Tampa Bay against Todd Bowles, who seems to have Jalen Hurts' number? This is the tough one.
Yep. Yeah, I can understand from that standpoint why someone would pick against the Eagles, considering if there was going to be a team to beat Jalen Hurts, it's the last one that was able to beat him before we started this 17-0 streak that he has going for him in terms of games started and finished. But yeah, don't you have to be a sucker to bet against the Eagles? It's 19-1. Like, you kind of have to be. Also, look at Vegas. Look at the line for this game. It opened as Eagles 3-point favorites in Tampa, despite everyone knowing about the struggles. And also, the line has only moved in their favor. They're now 3.5-point favorites down there in Tampa. Like that to me is telling. That's not just I don't think Vegas has a completely wrong read on the game. I mean, this Bucs team, for all that we talk about the Eagles' flaws and how they've kind of won these games by the skin of their teeth.
They've been living on the edge too.
Yeah, they have a worse point differential than the Eagles do. They've been like really last second wins.
Yeah,
and they're banged up.
Yeah,
really banged up. A lot of injuries going on. Yeah. They'll get Tristan Wirfs back. Maybe we'll see. Probably Chris Godwin, same thing. But it's not like Chris Godwin coming off this major injury is going to be probably playing like 100% of the snaps in his first game back.
I said the same thing. People think Chris Godwin's going to show up like he's Chris Godwin.
No, he's not.
Even Egbuka, who's great, he's been banged up. He didn't play the full allotment of snaps that he did in the first 2 weeks that he did in week 3 because he's not 100% either. So I look at this Bucs team; they're banged up, especially on the offensive line. Losing 2 of their starters there. Even if they get Wirfs back. So, I look at this spot as a spot for the Eagles to kind of, and also from a motivational standpoint, the Eagles have had to deal with this. Okay, we're the hunted, we have the target on our back. Now that for once they don't have to be in that spot because the target's on the Bucs and kind of in a position where hey, we have something to prove here against a team. And I think that kind of seems like it's like a refreshing from a messaging standpoint after, you kind of just keep going, we're the team that everyone's trying to get revenge against. So yeah, I actually like the Eagles in this spot. I think it's close because that Bucs team, I like them. And I think they're going to fight, and Baker Mayfield is frisky, but I think the Eagles ultimately win just like they always do.
Yep, I agree with you, Bill.
They always do. If I can get the prop bet, though, and I don't know if you can get this prop bet, so I'm going to say the Eagles are not going to win on a walk-off field goal block again.
Yeah,
that's probably safe to say.
I don't think you can get that prop bet, and if you do, it's like minus 2,000. You're not going to get much money there. Well, the Eagles do have a propensity to correct narratives, and they don't do it like a little bit. When they correct a narrative, they seem to do it hard. I think this might be the week that they silence the Todd Bowles as the Jalen Hurts kryptonite. I think this might be the week they correct that narrative. We'll see. BLG, we appreciate it, man. Make sure you guys follow him at Brandon Gouton. Read all his work at Bleeding Green Nation. Truly my favorite Eagles website. I go to it every morning right before this show. So I appreciate it. BLG, great stuff, man. We'll catch up with you next week. All right, brother?
Thanks, bud.
All right, there's BLG. I think he said something, but he was cutting out at the end there. Good stuff. Johnny Mac all throughout here. The show today. BLG, Mike Gill, 2 good guests today as we prep for the Bucs game. But this Eagles team has won so much, John. They got you not picking against them. That nobody's picking against the Eagles anymore, John. Too many W's for this football team.
Well, I mean, this is rare. It's never happened before in Eagles history. And they've been around since a while, since 1933. It's never happened in the Eagles. It's only happened a few times in NFL history. 19 of 20 wins. Patriots had 20 straight. That's it. So they're creeping up on rarefied air. They're already in rarefied air. So again, enjoy it. I know people have a tough time enjoying it because the style points aren't always there. I mean, I saw Drew Brees saying something. They're just an ugly team to watch. They are. I mean, he's not lying.
Kind of ripped them. To be fair though, Drew Brees, how many seasons did he throw for over 5,000 yards?
Well,
I saw an old stat that popped up on the timeline yesterday. Like somebody retweeted this tweet from like 2016. Drew Brees in the first half was 29 of 31 for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'm like, that was just a different player.
Man. He was one of that. When I talk about high volume passers, he was one of the most high volume passers of all time.
Probably
and
one
he
of
the said for people that shit on him, he said, I respect Philly. They're winning games. I can't stand to watch that offense. It's a lot like a lot of the fans that can't stand it, but they win games. And there's a reason they win games. It is not the most aesthetic offense. It is not going to be the most aesthetic offense. What do you care about? They care about winning games.
Yeah, and they're right about that. No doubt about it. They shouldn't come off that stance. We got a couple super chats we'll wrap up the show with. John, what's on the agenda today for the Birds? Wednesday?
Oh, everything. Practice, Nick Sirianni, locker room, everything. It's a Wednesday on a Sunday game week. I will be down there until late in the nights.
I don't know how you're put up with Nick's. I guess you got it with your job, but holy shit, Nick's press conference, they get worse. I think they legitimately get worse every time.
Yeah, he's not great. He's not been great this year.
He gets 1% worse every press conference. Now, it's probably good for the team. They probably like it because he doesn't say a whole lot, but
well, hey, I like the guy personally, but
I respect him.
Part of it is like he really believes that other people don't exhaust every avenue to try to win games. Now, a lot of the times I roll my eyes, everybody rolls their eyes, like the injury stuff. We're going out there 10 minutes later, blah, blah. Not today. It'll be 3 hours later, but sometimes he has interviews with us before practice and he says, well, you'll see. And then we see. All right. Why can't you just tell us? But, he takes everything up to the edge of the cliff, so to speak, and he thinks not doing it would be lazy. And I don't think that stuff matters, but he does. So, it's his right. It's his football team.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, part of me looks at it like, I went to Alabama when Nick Saban was there. I loved Nick Saban. He didn't give anything to the media. Bill Belichick, obviously one of the greatest football coaches of all time. He didn't give anything to the media. I'm not saying Nick's doing anything wrong. I'm just pointing out that he's very painful.
It's interesting because if you read some Belichick transcripts, like he would give nothing to the media, but if you asked him a football question, like he would give you a dissertation.
So there's art, it's kind of an art to asking coaches like this.
So what I try to do is not ask, and I broke my own rule yesterday with Patullo. I asked something too scheme specific, and he shut me down, and rightfully so. So I break. Yeah, we all make mistakes. I made a mistake yesterday because I knew he's not going to answer it, and I asked it. I'm like, brain fart. So. When you get him talking about general things, he can do some good stuff. Now he's going to bring up Larry Karras too much, but you can get him talking that way, but you have to do it very specifically.
Yeah, Nick is a good candidate to start a talk show one day when he's done, because boy, he just
oh my God, Monday on Zoom. There's only 6 people that got questions and I was there late. Because he just kept going and going.
Yeah, he just goes, man. He just goes. But good stuff. We got a couple super chats we'll read off. Johnny Mac and Martine checks in. What's up, brother? This Texan stint just reinforced that is a lot to ask CJ's maturity to be the elder statesman on a defense. Destination for him, Steelers. Need safety help and have enough bets on D to not take his shit. Poor Slay. He's going to have to deal with him again.
Poor Slay, yeah.
I don't think he's going to the Steelers.
Cameron Hayward will lay down the
Yeah, he would.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this is my shit. Sit down and shut up.
Yeah, CJ's not going to be the elder statesman on any defense. It's just not.
Tyler Braswell says, "Do you think Tampa's going to use the tush push stop Desmond Watson?" No.
They just signed him to the practice squad.
Yeah,
he's not even going to be active.
Yeah, no. Cilio talks to Todd Bowles. He's had him on our show recently. Todd just likes that play, wants to,
Yeah, Todd's been very complimentary of.
Yeah, Todd's like that. I mean, well, he's also, a player, kind of a player's guy. So I think he wanted to, give him an opportunity to get the right weight and see if they can carve out a role for him. Tyler Conger says, finally back home from my long weekend in Philly. Love it, brother. I picked a wild one for my first game. My wife and I fell in love with the city. Go Birds. Love it. That's good stuff. Appreciate that, Tyler Conger.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Good to hear you had a good time.
Yeah.
But anytime you're in a city for the first time, it's pretty cool if you know where to go to investigate things, so to speak.
Yep, it's a good city. Tyler, appreciate it, man. Good stuff. Johnny Mac, your final thoughts here on a Wednesday edition with the Bucs game looming this weekend.
Yeah, time to exercise the demons in the heat and everything else with Tampa Bay. For whatever reason, they seem to go down there every year. It works out that way, and need to get this one off their back. Yeah, it's funny. You see all these winning records, and then Tampa Bay 1-4. It's been the only team to kind of solve the Eagles a little bit during this era of Eagles football. And I think the Eagles are positioned to beat them this time. I think they'll be healthy enough when compared to Tampa. And I think, Lane could change it a little bit. So that'll be the key one to watch today. It's Lane's out there. I think you're good.
Yep, good stuff. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. We will catch you tomorrow on a Thursday edition of Birds 365. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mac. There's Johnny Mac joining us here. It's Wednesday, big day, so you get the first injury report today. We'll figure out updates on Lane Johnson, the cornerback situation. Is it going to be Keely Ringo this weekend? I saw you guys debating about it all show in the chat. Good stuff as always. Daz, I'm with you, and I'm also against you in a weird way, all right, where you look at PFF and you're like, okay, we don't really need to keep Adoree Jackson or Ja'Cory Bennett on the field, but at the same time, Vic is kind of the guy that didn't choose, Keely Ringo. So it's like, does Vic like him? I hear you, but I get it. I don't know. Vic is the one who made him the third string. It is what it is. So, we got plenty to talk about here on Birds 365 or on Zander time here today. Rich says, Z, accept my fantasy trade. Rich, that was the worst trade I've ever seen. Get out of here, Rich. All right. I'm not even a fantasy guy, but that was a terrible trade. All right. Zander, play the clip. You guys want me to play the clip? You want me to play the clip? Big Mike, I was thinking maybe wait like a couple minutes into Zander time so it's not the first thing people see. But it was truly a hilarious clip. I'll pull it up. All right, here we go. Give me a sec. All right, shut up, dude. Holy crap. All right, I'm going to mute myself for a second, and I'll find the clip. Okay, here we go. No, SMD, it's not me. You can't put this one on me. All right. So yesterday when the news broke that CJ Gardner-Johnson was being released and cut by the Texans, Cilio's open to his show. You can see breaking news. Texans cut CJ Gardner-Johnson. Almost got 10,000 views yesterday. So Cilio is on one. He likes the idea of bringing Gardner-Johnson back. Okay, so this was his comment. Somebody brought light to in the comment section, and I just cracked up. Tell me if you guys can hear it. You guys can hear it, I assume.
But I don't want him not to be on the team because he's an asshole. The guy's a good football player. I'm going to play with that asshole.
So somebody just commented the mark and said, I'm going to play with that. All right. It's a no Diddy. I get it. Everybody loves these remarks. I know. But it was one of those comments that Sills made that was pretty funny after the moment. But again, it was a good show. Yesterday was a good show for Big Sills. All right. It was a big show yesterday for Big Sills. So it was good stuff. But I don't know. Do you guys want CJ Gardner-Johnson back? You heard John talk about it. He basically started the show by saying, don't even bring his name up. Don't even bring his name up. All right. Basically is what Johnny Mac said. Do you guys want CJ back? Cam says no. Abe says yes. Arthur says pause. Yeah, Arthur, that was like a pause squared, my friend. Chester says no. A-Team, no. KCA, it's going to be CJ. Cody says, yeah, let's play with that asshole. I want to see Sills play with it. All right, man. All right, guys. Let's get this thing on the rails here. All right. Denise, I'm with you. No. SMD, no. I'm good on CJ. Yeah, me too, guys. I'm all good on it, man. I'm all good on it, honestly. I'm not clamoring to bring CJ back. All right. So, lame turn here, Z. I don't know what you want from me, Rich. I really don't. I don't know what you want from me, guy. All right. I don't know what you want from me. Here's Dirty Air. If Makuba was trash, then hell yeah. But exactly. Look, there's a lot of variables here. I said it yesterday. I'm not trying to downplay what Gardner-Johnson was. He was a good player here. I appreciate what he provided to the defense. I'm actually not one of the people that's like always a little bit of a headache to just completely roll him out. Look, it's football. You don't win Super Bowls with choir boys. I get it. I see every side of it. Again, I don't count him out because he's a little bit of a head case. I don't have much of a problem with that. But I think when you look at everything here, I haven't once came out of a game and said, hey, we better go get a safety. I think you've seen very positive signs from Andrew Makuba so far to start the year. And I don't really want to put him on the bench. And I don't think it makes sense right now to bring Gardner-Johnson in. I don't think that's the big problem on defense right now. I really don't. I don't think that's a big problem on defense. So I'm not really in the CJ Gardner-Johnson camp of wanting him back, but I understand why people do. He was here for 2 Super Bowl appearances for this football team. But Curtis, I'm with you. And I brought this up yesterday on my segment with Dan when I joined him on the National Football. By the way, that's one of my favorite segments we do on JAKIB every day. It is. All the guests, all the the morning show, everything we have, and maybe I'm biased, but people do love that segment. I always get great comments on it that they love it, but I think me and Sills do have a great back and forth. I really do. Even for people that don't like Cilio's style or don't like my style, it's a good segment, man. It's good. We go back and forth, and yesterday was pretty funny because I had to apologize to Sills because I called him a motherfucker the day before because he was pissing me off, man. Monday was like a funeral on JAKIB after one of the best games I've seen, one of the best comeback wins I've seen. And I'm like, man, Johnny Mac and Sills, I'm done with these curmudgeons today. All right. I'm done with these 2 curmudgeons today. So do you warn the guest? Do I warn the guest on what? That the chat's a bunch of head cases? No, I do not. I do not. All right. I do not warn the guest about the chat. I never have done that. I just hope they don't read it. All right. But you can tell some do. Siglord, you can tell some do for sure. All right. JD3 says the human element, bringing him in a third time just makes it awkward for CJ, the players, coaches, and front office. I'm good with moving. I kind of agree with that. It's a good take. When you keep bringing him back, it's like, why not just keep him here? It's a little weird. All right. Dirty Air says, if Cilio didn't Cilio, what would be the point? That's Cilio's whole thing. It's fun. I agree, Dirty Air. I like it. Not everybody does, but I think there's room for it. But no, Dirty Air, I think there's a difference between, presenting things that will stir the fan base while also, talking about football from a logical and a smart perspective, which he does do at times. People don't give him enough credit for that. He is a good football mind. Like he's seen a lot of football. He knows people that have been around the game forever. He's been around the game for his whole life. So He has a very smart football mind, but I just think, yes, Monday I was pissed at both John and Sills because, like, I'm not asking you guys to be a fan of the Eagles, but, like, as a fan of football, I think you could have recognized how awesome that game was. Well, and you can still nitpick it. You can still say the Eagles got to be better, man. They can't get in that situation. But I thought that was such a great – that was a great win, man. That was like a good football game. Take your Eagle fandom out of it for a second. That was one of the games of the weekend. That was one of the games of the weekend that everybody's talking about, So I just think you gotta kind of talk about that before you go, oh, the run game. What's the matter with the run game? What's the matter with the run game? What's the matter? You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, guy, I get it. There's some concerns. Acknowledge how dope that game was first, Fleming says, how fast do you think Stevie ran away when he heard Sills say he wants to play with an a-hole? Probably pretty quick. That wasn't all time. It was, Siglord. It was a great game, man. It was a great freaking game. All right. I loved it. I did love the game. I had a lot of fun watching it. Dude, I was in the studio and I was ready for the post-game show. I'm telling you guys, I said this on the post-game show. Some people commented they didn't like it. That's fine. But I was here prepared, and I watched the Rams kind of march down and get ready to kick the field goal. And I remember saying to myself right before the kick of, like, if this kick does go through the uprights, the Eagles learned a lot today, and that's the positive from the game. They learned a lot today. They ended up blocking the kick, and I'm like, holy shit, Jordan Davis is returning it. I know some people are live for, like, their instant reactions. It would be cool if I was doing that, but we'd get the green zone now, and I got to get ready for the post-game show. So as we are currently set up today, it doesn't quite make sense for me to live stream the games, but it would be fun for you guys to see my reactions. All right, because it was a lot of fun. I'm pretty animated too at moments for sure, But I've become a loner, in doing this with Eagles games. I used to watch it with my dad or with my family or whatever, with with whoever. And now it's just like I got work before, in the middle, and after, pregame, halftime, postgame, and I'm setting up the green zone and I'm managing the clips for the channel and everything. So I've kind of just become a loner for Eagles Sundays. I just watch the games as by myself, but there's a lot of peace in it. I can see everything I want to see. There is some peace in it. I can't lie. All right. Maybe that's the old head in me coming out. All right. But I do like it. Going back to Tampa for redemption. Are you Dirty Air or you mean the team is? Sig Lord. Stop beefing with Aunt Betty, Sig Lord. Come on, man. Be respectful to Aunt Betty. JD3 says, I only watch games alone. It's so much more. It is, JD. I got to be honest, man. It is. It's enjoyable for sure. All right. Ooh, is that your dog's name, Saban? Are you a Bama guy? JD3, how are you a Bama guy? And I never knew this. Oh, Dirty Air. Nice, dude. Enjoy the game. That's epic. It's going to be hot there, dude. It's going to be hot. You got to break out like the one of the old school practice jerseys that got all the holes in them. You got that airflow. JD3, you're from Mobile. All right, I didn't know that. Now I maybe have a little bit more of a how are you from Mobile, but your parents grew up in Jersey, then moved to Mobile and had your ass. JD3, you mind me asking how old you are? You can just give me a range. Is it 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? Sometimes your comments sound like you're in your 70s. Boomer Sooner. Fuck the Boomers. The Sooners. Dorks. Fly out to KC for NASCAR, then leaving Yo, I saw McDowell had a pretty good Dirty Air. McDowell had a pretty good race last weekend. No, I think he finished like 8th. Is that right, Dirty Air? I think I saw that. I saw some highlights from the race. I've been keeping up with NASCAR because you got me into it. I like it a little. I like it. I do. That motherfucker said 70. 23. You're 23 years old. Your ass is 23 years old. That's good. We got a lot of smart young people in here, man. We got a lot of smart young people. One of my boys in here. I don't know if he's in here right now. HKP. I don't know. Is he in here right now? I don't see him. HKP. I like his Instagram. He gives good takes on his Instagram. He just, he'll just run the camera and just start talking about his life, about his as he goes through life, what he's learning. And I think it's great. I love listening to it, honestly. Early 20s. Brandon, I know you're like, what are you, Brandon? Like mid 30s, early 30s, Brandon? Early 30s. Brandon, I got to say something to you, Brandon. And I love you. You're one of my favorites. All right. I love you. It's all love. You're sounding extra Canadian this year, Brandon. Caesar, did you get my email yesterday? I'll get to you in a sec. Oh, there's HKP. I got you, brother. I love listening to your stuff. Turned 33 today. Hey, happy birthday, Brandon. Happy birthday, brother. I appreciate you, man. Happy birthday. Brandon, you're sounding extra Canadian this year. All right. You're sounding extra Canadian, You're like channeling a little bit of like a Brandon Howard-esque LJ-esque. It's like one of those things where it's just like, Brandon, you used to be willing to talk about some of the other. Now you're just like, the Eagles, we're great. Stop crying, everybody. It's extra Canadian. That's all. All right. It's extra Canadian. How I just turned 34. I did, just confirming the address. All right, Caesar. Good stuff, brother. Good stuff, my man. Let me know, Caesar. I'll get you your shirt. I know I owe you your shirt. 956. Was it you that emailed me your shirt got stolen? I mean, I'm pissed. I mean, what the fuck? Was that you, 956? Because it changed your name from 956 in my email to your full name. All right. Thank you. You've been consistent for 4 years. I'm a stop crying guy. Brandon says, I'll have to take off the straitjacket. Yeah, I love it. 956. What happened? I sent you the tracking number. I don't send anybody the tracking number. I sent you the tracking number. I did everything you needed me to do. And the shirt still gets stolen. Holy shit. Get yourself a P.O. box or something. All right. Come on, 956. All right. Can we get an age check in the chat right now? Turned 30. Lord Beerus. That's a funny name. Turned 37 today. Good stuff, brother. Happy birthday, man. Appreciate you being here. It's a couple birthdays today in JAKIB Nation. I need an age check. Tyler Kavanaugh's 30. I need to win a black JAKIB hat. Bonehead, I can get you that. 35, 956. Curtis is 37. 30 Air, 38 plus, which is pretty funny. Pharaoh, 27. You and me both, Pharaoh. I like it. 29 for Sig Lord. 30. 34 for Ryan. Sean Goodwin's 35. So we got a good group. I just turned 40 a couple weeks ago. Fleming, you're one of those guys they talk. You ever heard people talk about some guys just they never grow up. That's you, Fleming, talking about a-holes and talking about all sorts of ditty things in the chat. And Bud, 53, I love it. 43, love it. 37, 33. We got a good group. 52, 46, 35. Izzy is 45. I don't know how old Izzy is. 60 fucking 7. Look, that's a real old head right there. He didn't even give us the numbers. He gave us the numbers spelled out with an F-bomb in between it. That's a classic Philly 67-year-old right there. 49, 63. Chester, appreciate you. Big Mike, 58. Big Mike, love you, brother. Theo, 52. Bone is 36. Speaking of Instagrams, I do love Bonehead's Instagrams. This dude will just, let me pull up Bone's Instagram. Jeff Bonehead is truly hilarious. He really is. Let me pull up this motherfucker. Where's Bonehead? Why can't I find you? Jeff. Did you block me? No, it's because it's El Gato Negro Bra. That's his name. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got.
Deadass. What the fuck is this shit, bro? Like, real shit? We are getting abused. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
Is that the first half?
Like, I fucking hate this fucking.
That's Bonehead crying about the what does the black cat mean? Why are people saying this? What's the black cat? Light mode? I don't know. I think my phone just changes. I think I have it on like it adapts, Dank. I think it's in the day it's light mode. At night it's dark mode. I'm not sure. I've never really cared much about that, to be honest with you guys. All right. Jeff Kerr is 2,386 years old. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Oh, is that what that means? What does that mean? See, that's a very bonehead thing. What is that? Okay. That literally translates to the black cat. Okay. The black cat, bro. Yeah, Bonehead. I'm not really sure, but I just love your Instagram. Wait, the one I love the most of Bonehead is this. Sometimes I'll legitimately watch, I'll go and look at it, like, what's Bonehead up to?
Why do I feel like I'm bringing the property value down
though? I commented on this. I said, fuck you mean, Bonehead? That value's way up with Bone on the premises. He says, why do I feel like I'm bringing the property value down? Which is funny. All right, that was funny. You got to get your Spanish game up, Zay. They're the only people that can fix your hair. That's true. Some told me it was the Puerto Ricans. Maybe I got to go to a Puerto Rican before my wedding and say, hey, give me like a salvage this hair 3,000, whatever you can do for the wedding day. Or should I just shave it? Should I just go bald for the wedding day? Should I go shiny top? All right. That's true, ZM. You got to get B-How that jersey. It's still sitting right there. I haven't given it away. I'm not going to give it away. Come home, Zander. What do you mean, Dank? All right, Dank, are you telling me to go bald? Is that what you're saying? That's what that sounds like. Hair plugs? I'm not doing that bullshit. Stop with that. Seriously, do I look like the kind of dude? Dodgers stink. Go Birds. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I do got to get my Spanish game up. You know, I had a great Spanish teacher in high school. I think she's still there actually at St. Joe's Prep. Miss Bayland. Yeah. I don't want to say the Diddy stuff, but yeah. I guess you guys can probably put two and two together. Dirty Air says, nah, go Kango team. That's a good idea. Kango hats for the whole groomsmen. I don't think they could pull it off. Gregorio says, God is telling you to go bald. God told me this years ago. All right. I did see this. Curtis says, Z, did you see Bree saying he hates watching our offense? I know he's going to get hate, but man, sometimes I hate watching our offense. Yeah, I hear you. Honestly, Curtis, most honest Eagles fans that aren't like M. Reyes and they're just like in Delulu land, they get frustrated at times. We had 33 yards in the first half and -1 passing yards. It's okay to say, yeah, sometimes the offense pisses me off. All right. That line going back. Oh, Tyler, shut up. Always on point barbershop in Philly. Is that the name of the barbershop? I'm looking for a good barber. But many of you have told me the Puerto Rican barbers are the best. Is this true? Is this true? The Puerto Ricans? I used to always say I need a Mexican or a black guy to give me a nice cut, but somebody in here said you got to get a Puerto Rican. You got to get a Puerto Rican. Usually, yes. All right, we'll see. We'll see what I can do. Twiz says, we effing sucked in the first half. I wanted everyone gone. Yeah, no, I hear you. Twiz was brutal. All right. Calling a Super Bowl into an undefeated season, and I'm Delulu. Oh, M. Reyes, shut up. All right. M. Reyes, shut up. You can't be honest, M. Reyes. You're still sleepy because you were watching too much Kimmel last night. You were watching too much Kimmel. He hasn't been funny in years. You know, back in the day, Kimmel used to actually be funny. Look at Catch. That's funny. I don't want to read it, though. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't even know what you mean by that. Dominican? Dominican, bud? We'll see. All right. We'll see. HKP, what should I do? Black or Puerto Rican guy? What do you think? I was thinking get a black guy to give me a nice fade. I don't know. How do you make hair like this look good for one day? I don't know. You know, you can see it's going. It's thin, man. It's not sticking around much longer. But it's also not as bad as it could be, you know? Some people think it's probably worse than it is. It's not that bad. I don't know. You guys tell me, how bad is it? You know, remember, I've been wearing a hat too. Come on, man. One day I'm going to show up here with no hat on and do a full show with no hat on just to show you my versatility. Just to show you my versatility. All right. I'm telling you, Kango wedding would be electric. All right. Kango wedding would be electric. I'm jealous of it, bro. Right in the bed. See, I like your bald head. You think it's shiny. It looks good. I like a bald head is good. Denise says black barbers are more talented due to creativity. Brother will get you right. Fair. I kind of agree. All right. And Midnight says, man, Zay, what you could hear the exhaustion in his comment. Looks like you'll be joining the bald boys soon. I'll be waiting for you. I'm excited. I'm not as down about it. I think people who are bald are too sad about it. You look fine. Relax. You look fine. I think some people look better bald, to be honest. All right. Don't try to convince yourself it's bad. Oh, man. You got a Charlie Kirk head. No, I don't. Fredo says, get that PR haircut and grab a plate of rice and beans after Xander. Let's go, Fredo. I'll do it. Yeah, Z, go to a black barber. Show up with braids. I don't think that'll happen. Oh, man, Joe Whip. Can't make something out of nothing. Joe, I might have to put you back in the corner. All right. Big Mike says, you can't get Z buzzed in the back of your hair for your wedding. Can you? Oh, you can get a Z. Okay. You know, back in the day, I did that. My dad did that for us one day. My mom was like, what the fuck did you do? Zeke, go cue ball. Have that. I don't know what I'm going to look like. It's going to be funny. We'll see. I'm wearing hats every day anyway, so it doesn't really matter, to be honest. But all right. All right, let me make sure I get all my chats, and then I'm getting out of here. I want to do a giveaway, but we're not getting many new members this week. That's all right. We'll get flowing. I look back at last year. We only did 2 giveaways in September last year. Now, I'm not trying to replicate. I'm trying to do more this year. But we really ramped up in November and December. November and December, we went crazy last year. January, too. So, Curtis says, careful, Z. Fading white boy hair is different, and they need to know how to do it. That's pretty funny. All right. That's pretty funny. Big Z, any updates on your C8? Plenty of updates. I'm gonna try and make a video this weekend, Tony. The problem is I just do so much content during the week, during the season. So I don't know, Saturday comes and I'm just like, I don't feel like being on camera today. I just want to chill. But I hear you. I got to keep grinding. No excuses, Tony. No excuses in this life. There's no excuses. Future wife might have a say in that. She could give a rat's ass, Joe. She loves me for me. You know, when we got engaged, I pulled out this big ring that I was happy with. I thought I did good on her ring. I pulled out this big ring. She didn't even look at it, and she just wanted to hug me. I'm like, yeah, you're a real one, all right. But I wouldn't have married. I wouldn't be engaged right now if she wasn't a real one. So, but it's always good when you get a nice big fat ring because you love your woman and you want to take care of her and you want her to have a nice ring, obviously. And then she doesn't even look at it. She just wants to hug you. All right. So. No, this is not true, Kimberly. Kimberly, I'm sorry, but this is, I always dispute this narrative. Kimberly says it's actually from wearing the hat. It's not. It's not. My grandmother used to tell me the same thing. All right. But then I'll ask you this. Bryce Harper is a baseball player. Alec Boehm is a baseball player. There's plenty of guys out there who wear hats very consistently every single day. Like, you either have the genetics to keep your hair or you don't. Now, maybe a hat expedites what your fate is, but if you're not losing your hair, or if you're not going to lose your hair, a hat has nothing to do with it. Okay? Exactly. It's genetics. It's what it is. My dad is bald. Although my grandfather had a nice Italian head of hair on my mom's side. And people, there's like this old myth. I think it's a myth. I'm calling myth on it. That you get like your mom's dad's hair, apparently. So that'd be good for our kids if it's true, because my future father-in-law has a nice head of hair. Not me. My hair is going to be cooked. Honestly, I might the day before my honeymoon, I might just, wedding's done. See ya. All right. Not true, Kim. Never been a hat guy until I had a cul-de-sac on my head. That's pretty funny. All right. I hear you, Z. Bald skipped like 3 generations and got me. Damn, midnight. Hate to see it. It is what it is. All right. It is what it is. From your mom's dad, yes. Well, not for me. Unfortunately, not for me. Okay. Unfortunately, not for me. It is what it is, though. It is what it is. It's not true that hat. I mean, it probably affects like a little bit, but my whole point was like your genetics are way more in charge of whether you wear a hat. Just pray you don't look like Kerr. No, I won't. Stop. That's an insane comment. All right. That's like literally ridiculous. You guys know it. I'm a fucking stud. Don't even hit me with that, Bourne. Admit it. Admit it, dork. All right. Admit it. Admit it. I'm a stud. That's why you love watching me. All right. I'm just kidding. Caesar says, what up, Caesar? 5,000 Chilean pesos. I don't know how many Chilean pesos I'm up to. I'm up to like 10 grand in Chilean pesos, or 10,000 Chilean pesos, maybe like 15, 20,000 Chilean pesos. What do those things equate to? I don't even know. Cesar Campos. O-line hurt. Run game 3.8 yards per carry. D's missing Dean, 240 yards per pass yards per game. Bucs lack Evan. Philly must pressure Mayfield and attack the weak secondary. Flag was flagged. Good synopsis in a pretty short super chat. Very good synopsis in a pretty short super chat. I like it, Caesar. All right, I like it. Big Mike is asking questions I have no response to. All right. That currency is cooked. Is it? All right. Sounds like you'll be able to take a vacation in Chile soon, Z-Man. I love it, Wild Bear. Maybe one day. Caesar, should I work my way over to Chile or not worth it? You tell me. All right. You say dork a lot. Do the kids still use dork as a put down? I don't know. I use it. I don't care what kids do. I do what I do, midnight. If you don't like it, get lost. If you like it, then I appreciate you. All right. Z, is Big Joe doing Birds 365 when you're on your honeymoon? Big Mike, I have no idea. All right. But I know this. My honeymoon's not going to be like 6 days. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I'm doing a 2-week honeymoon. Get me out of here. All right. I don't take vacation ever. I've worked on every vacation I've ever had in my life, which is fine. I love it, honestly. I love it. Even when I went to a F1 event in Miami, I was working from the hotel room. I was producing The Middle. Anybody who remembers that shitty show we had on the channel. That was a brutal show. Oh my goodness. That show sucked. That show was catastrophic. Seriously, it was awful. It was awful. Yeah, I'll probably have Big Joe fill in though. All right. When are Little Z's coming? Twiz? I honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if my future wife is pregnant on the night of our wedding. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me, Twiz. It would not surprise me. I got to get moving. Although my girl is a couple years younger than me, so that always helps. You know, I've always said now, ever since I've been with my girl, I've always said I'm 27, but I don't go by my age anymore. Like my timeline is no longer 27. It's her age. That's the more important timeline. So she's what? She's 24. She'll be 25 soon. So no, 25. She won't be 25 till next year. So all right. I use dork still. It's a great word. It's a great word. All right. All right. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. And a lot of them. All right. And a lot of them. Fleming, mine have been hanging since I was, 8 years old. Fleming. I've always been I've always beat to my own drum. I've always beat to my own drum. All right. Lil Z be playing. How many should I have, guys? 8, 10, 12, 14, 16? I don't know. Maybe make a fuck around and make a whole football team, 22 of them. All right. Never talk about a lady's age. That's true. That's all right. She can handle it. She can handle it. She's beautiful. She's young. She's beautiful. She's in her prime. She's caring. She's perfect. I love my woman. Dirty Air says you should have one at a time and go from there. Dirty Air, I'm having as many as I can, as God will bless me with. 3 tops, no way, Joe Whip. No way. Sorry, not for me. 3 tops. I think 10 would be my tops. I think 10 would be my tops. Gets snipped after 2. Dimebag Daryl, which is a hilarious name, by the way. Dimebag Daryl. Dimebag Daryl might have been texting my phone back when I was in college. You guys can make of that what you will. But get snipped is something I will never do. That is insane to me. Get snipped. What? No way. No. 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 No, no, no. All right. No shot. No freaking shot. Kids are expensive. I don't really care. I've never lived my life based on money, and I'm never going to. I've never tried to limit what I do based on money. Now, obviously, you have to be realistic. You can't just live in a world where, but my point being, I would never say, oh, I can't have another kid because it might cost some money. Yeah, good. All right, I got to go make the money. I got to work extra hours. I got to do what I got to do to make ends meet. That's part of being a man in life. You want to be a man, you got to handle your responsibilities. I want a lot of kids, which means I got to have the money to have a lot of kids. I'm not going to not have them because of that. Like, I'm not going to say no. If I get to that point and you got to make more money, then yeah, I got to work my ass off. Got to work a couple extra hours. Got to put the money in. I got to do what I got to do. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. All right. Yeah, that's fair, Dirty Air. That's fair. The Dirty Air, the good thing about what I do now, and I don't know how it will change or evolve in the future, but, I work a lot of hours, like literally all day. I don't leave my studio, basically. But I'm home, I'm home. So it's like I feel like it'll be easier, but I can only speak on where I am right now. I can't speak on the future. I don't know how it's going to be. All right. I've always known though that I want a lot of kids, and I do believe that they're great. They provide great meaning in life. That's no knock on anybody that doesn't want to have them. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm just telling you my perspective. All right. I'm just telling you my perspective. We don't make exactly HKP. No excuses. Just get it done. All right. There's no excuses. All right. Have just one and get back to us. Oh, Kimberly, shut up. Kimberly, I'm going to have 10. All right. I'm going to have 10 now. You just inspired me. It's funny because my girl's the same way. She wants a lot of kids too. All right. Dimebag Daryl says, I had accidental twins at 30. Don't tell them they're accidental. All right. They're a blessing, my friend. They're a blessing. They're a beautiful blessing from God. All right. Whether you believe in them or not, they're a beautiful blessing. Hustle hard regardless. I will, Born Masterpiece. I've been doing that my whole life. I don't plan on changing anything. All right. My neighbors had 10 boys. Yo, that is crazy. That is nuts. 10 boys. That would be oh my gosh, that would be iconic. 10 boys carrying the Krause name forward. Holy moly. So I got to have a call with that guy. I got to have a call with that pops. If twins run, they don't run in my family, not that I know of. Although my cousin just had twins. All right. And Josh says, 10, you can count on the hair being going faster than originally planned. That's all right. It's hilarious. A lot of grandbabies. That'd be great. That'd be great. All right. I love all you guys. I got to get out of here. We're talking about nothing here. Well, we're not talking about stuff, but, Am I roasting? I don't even feel like I'm roasting people, Big Mike. Who am I roasting? Dirty air, every one of them is a blessing, brother. Every one of them is a blessing, no matter what. So, all right, love all you guys, man. Appreciate everybody for being here. Oh, by the way, did the people who I always like to check just because I want to make sure you get emails like I did with from 956, his shirt got stolen. Did everybody who got a jersey get theirs? I got Thomas Farzetta. I'm gonna answer your email. I got your email. He sent me a dope email. He got his jersey. Twiz, did you email me back? Let me look. Check my email. Yep, Twiz, I got your email 4:30 today. There you go. Look, Twiz sent me a picture. He got his DeJean jersey. Twiz says, got something to wear on Sunday. Fucking love you too, dickhead. See you in a few hours. That's Twiz's email back to me today. This is, look, let me show you the picture he sent. All right. Let me show you the picture. That's funny. Twiz emails. That was Twiz's email back. Love you too, dickhead. All right, Twiz. I love you, buddy. I love you. There he is. Twiz is in the chat. There we go. He got a Z note. I only have a couple left, so there you go. There's the jersey. Love you, mother effer. That's why he said that, because I wrote on the note, love you, motherfucker. Coop, let's go Birds, baby. There you go. Good stuff, Twiz. Appreciate you, brother. Farzetta, I know he got his jersey. Who else got a jersey? Lucius the Show, he emailed me. He got his jersey. And Master Eagle, he told me yesterday he got his jersey. All right, so everybody got their jerseys. Good stuff, man. All right. Now, Kirsten, I didn't give any Z notes on the shirts. Z notes were not given on the shirts. All right. Z notes were not given on the shirts. So Kirsten got a shirt. 956, CZ, Mike Berghorst, Thomas Gruber. No Z notes. Z notes are with the jerseys. All right. Z notes are with the jerseys. So that's just how it goes. But there's Thomas. Thomas, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man. All right. Love all you guys, man. Hit that like button. All right. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Guys, we've been having a great month. Real quick, I'll give you guys a quick update before I go. I know I always do this. Twiz always makes fun of me. Guy says bye 10 times. I know. We just busted over 53,500 subs. And for the first, not for the first time, we've had it before, but right now in the last 28 days on the channel, which goes back a little bit into August, we are already up well over 1 million views on JAKIB Sports. So 1,018,000 right now in the last 28 days. 250,000 watch hours. You guys do the math on that. And then I'd like you to go and find an Eagles channel that has that amount of watch hours. It's one thing to get 1 million views. Okay. 1 million views is cool. But when you have 250,000 watch hours, that means that people click and they stay. Right? Do the math on that. All right, 250,000 watch hours. And so far in September, only through 23 days, we're up to 200,000 watch hours already, 880,000 views. So we are killing it, man. Thank you all, guys, for everything you guys do. You guys are crushing it, man. And I can't, again, I just come up here and talk. Now, I do a lot of work on the back end, but at the end of the day, you guys are what fuel our growth. That's why I do the giveaways. That's why I thank you guys so much for the super chats and for the memberships. It goes a long way. So exactly, Siglord. I can't make money if people are clicking and clicking off. So watch hours is my favorite metric. It always has been and it always will be. So in 2025 so far, all right, we are up almost 30% across the board. All right, 7 million views in 2025 already. All right, 2.5 million watch hours in 2025. 2.5 million watch hours. Again, 2.5 million watch hours. There might be channels out there that get more views. There might be channels out there that grow faster. There might be channels out there that do whatever, that get 100,000 views per video. I can guarantee you none of them have those type of watch hours. Okay? We got a special audience. It's always why I've never cared about how many subscribers we gain on a month, because a lot of people care about that. And look, I'm not knocking their channels. Like there's a lot of great people. People that I like. Thomas Mott. I'm friendly with Thomas Mott. I like him a lot. Those channels are growing like weeds. They got like 100,000+ subscribers, but you have one 25-minute video a day, and they're great videos. They're very entertaining. I think they do a really good job, those guys. Very different style, but it just doesn't equate to the type of watch hours. Dude, like we get, around 5K per day views on like the full live show of Birds 365. The average watch time is like 50 minutes. You understand how much that is? 50 minutes per view, 50 minutes for the average. On Cilio, it's like an hour and 25 minutes. Average watcher. Crazy, man. So you guys show up, you click, and then you stay. Like you enjoy it here. And that's a big metric for me because that's what I care about. I want people to come here. I want people to love listening to the shows. I want people to enjoy it. I want people to converse, to talk, to build the community as we always do. So it's a lot of fun, man. I just wanted to give you guys that update and thank you guys for what you've done. We're off to a really good 2025. We're only in September, so we got 3 or 4 months to go, but we're having a really strong 2025 right now. And obviously anybody who's been here a long time, you know how much change has happened and everything. So, I appreciate it, man. I really do. I appreciate it. Let's get that 2.5 million watch hours up. Let's get that thing to 3.5 million by the end of the year. So I appreciate it, man. I love all you guys. Thanks for all of the support. As always, absolutely. You guys are a loyal group, man. We got great listeners. We got a great audience, a valuable audience. And I don't just say that from a money standpoint. Like, it's cool. Like, we have a real audience. We don't just have people who come across our content or see it on their feed every once in a while. Like, we have people who like Jacob, who load up YouTube to watch JAKIB Sports, who load up our shows to listen to our shows, to converse, to engage in the community, so it's cool, man. It is cool, and I always say thanks, but it goes a little deeper. It's like at the end of the day, every super chat, every membership, it's a sign. Hey, keep building on this dream, keep building on what you're doing. So, it's a little bit more than just, hey, a $5 super chat puts $5 extra in my pocket. It's not about that. It's never been about that for me. It's always about the deeper meaning of the channel and the bigger growth that we're having, the community that we're building. So I appreciate all of you guys. I love all you guys, man. Good conversation today. As always, I feel really good about this Bucs game. I'll say that right now. I think this is going to be the week that we shut up this narrative that we can't handle the Bucs. Fuck the Bucs. I feel like we're going to beat the shit out of them this weekend. Sorry, a little vulgar to end the show today. Love all you guys. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate inside the locker room and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.